thank you everybody for coming by. I'm Josh Ezell. I'm one of the I'm the DB here. I'm one of the co-owners. That's my dad, Mike. He's one of the other owners. He's in charge of property management. Thank you for coming. We just moved to this office. We literally, we're gonna have a grand opening party here probably next month once we get set up. But this is our first class, so the first of the year, in our new building and everything. So this is kind of a momentous occasion. So we appreciate everybody for popping by. And if you've never taken a class from Marti before, she's amazing. We're going to be having you here as often as possible because you get your continuing ed, but you also get so much other great information. It really makes it worth your time, and it's just, she's amazing. So thank you, Marti, and I'll let you get into today's session class.
Sounds great. Because I know my fellow realtors, they like to start on time so they get out on time, right? I get reminded of that all the time. Okay, your class today, welcome first of all of you. This is the new home sales and the resale agent. So this class is really, was requested by builders in the valley. So we're going to talk a lot about new home sales and how you as resale agents can benefit from working from them. And I think now, especially now with some of the iBuyer situation that we have to deal with, where we're really competing with technology, it's almost like technology. This is something that you need to start adding to your inventories so that you can increase your volume of sales, which obviously increases your commissions. With few exceptions, these builders are paying 3% and bonuses to your buyer client, which can be really good. So it's broken into two sections. I'm going to start with the first section is going to be how you can work with a resale agent, just some tips and tricks. How many of you have sold a new home in a new home subdivision? Okay, so you've had some experience. How many of you have lost a buyer to a new home development? Yes, me, like 5 or 6 in my career. Yes, but I still work new home sales. There's money in it. So we're going to talk about some of the challenges that you've had. It's a participative class. I have to get through this section before the break because the statistics are all in the second part, which is what you really want to see. So please make sure you silence your phones, close your tablets, laptops, can't play any World of Warcraft while you're in class. Restrict your time out of the classroom if you're here for CE. We're going to take 2 breaks, one at 10:15, and then the last one will be at 11:45, at which time you can take your certificate and zip. Okay? Sound good? Will somebody set their cell phone for a 10:15 alarm? Because I will talk right through it. Okay, a little bit about me regarding especially the new home sales. So I've been in the industry for over 34 years. I started my career in Prescott. I've been a broker owner. I am currently a broker owner again. I don't know, must be dementia or something settling in. Subdivision development, I have done 2 subdivisions in Prescott, the Prescott Resort, which any of you have been in that area, you know where that is, out by the air park and the golf course. And also the Heatherlands. I've done cross sales with Del Webb, Monterey, Taylor Morrison, Dix, Vincent, Richmond American, Costain, Golden Heritage, Markland, Jeff Edmonds, Continental, UDC. Great house. They built great houses when they were in the industry. I don't know if any of you know that, but they were 2x6 construction everywhere. Coventry, Pulte, and a lot of custom builder homes. So the purpose of the course is to create a better understanding of the role of the resale agent representing a home buyer and the new home sales agent representing the builder to foster a better working relationship between the home builders and resale agents, creating happy buyers and increased sold inventory for both. So let's talk a little bit about the different types of residential builders. So you have custom builders, semi-custom, and then you have production builders. So custom, if you work with a custom home builder, the experience is going to be very, very different, right? How many of you have sold a strictly custom home? Yes, very different, wasn't it? Because it's one type, it's designed really to fit a particular type of buyer. There's very little negotiating, right? Because they have a cost factor. And the longer that property stays on the market, the greater their costs are. So they're typically heavy on marketing to get it sold. Semi-custom. So what is a semi-custom? What does that mean?
It's a production home where they allow a few changes along
Right.
the way.
That's exactly right. It's a production home, and they'll make some adjustments, and they are gonna charge you for those, right? Yes, very heavily. And then we have our production homes, which is really what is growing in our area here. And I'm gonna show you later on exactly where the market is headed that way, so you can start to get familiar with the developments that are going on. So the new home development process, I've done this right from the very ground, purchasing the land, all the way through to dividing it up, offering it to different builders. I did that with the Heatherlands in Prescott. They have a huge investment of dollars to get it to this point, right? Subdivision report has to be approved. I don't know if you're aware, but it probably takes about $3 million in non-accessible funds, money that they cannot use that has to stay in an account until their subdivision is sold out. Did you know that? Yeah. They have to guarantee, once they submit for a public report, they have to guarantee that they are going to finish the product as advertised. That's the entire subdivision.
What's that dollar amount you get?
It's about $3 million right now, today.
So they lose it.
They could, if they don't finish, they could. If they finish it out, then it's refundable to them.
You would call
But
it
that is,
reserves?
it is a reserve fund. It's like a insurance policy to the public that they're gonna finish. And if they fail, that money will be utilized to complete the project and deliver on the project. If it's enough, yes. If it's enough.
Is that a flat fee, or does that actually go up depending on like the size, if it's a huge
I'm sure
subdivision?
it would depend on the size. And it's done by sections. Like you take this entire subdivision, even when we did the Heatherlands, that was a 160-acre development, really a small development. We divided it into 5 sections. So we did one section, we had $2.5 million in reserves. Once we got that one rolling, then we did the second. We had to deposit additional funds, but it wasn't $2.5 million. So as we added on the different sections, then we would contribute a little more money. And at the same time, we were finishing out phase 1 and phase 2. So it was rolling along. And it was such a wonderful experience for me to see that from the other side and working with the Department of Real Estate on exactly what has to occur. The 100-year water supply we had to do. We're inside AMAs here, so is Prescott, active management area, which means you have to prove that 100-year water supply. And that is one reason why your development is going west, because it's outside the active management area for water. And Buckeye area, tons of water. They have lots of water. So that's a good little tip there. So the financial impact of 100 single-family home development, and this was delivered by the National Association of Home Builders. And these are estimated contributions. So 1-year impact, including the effect of the construction activity itself and the ripple that occurs when some of the income is spent and recycles into the local economy of 100 single-family homes. $28.7 million in local income, $3.6 million in taxes and other revenues distributed for our local governments, and about 394 local jobs. Annual ongoing impacts, $4.1 million in local, $1 million in taxation and other revenues for local government, and about 69 permanent jobs whenever you build a housing development. You're going to be amazed at how many housing developments we have coming up for 2019. So for the realtor, what are the differences between you as a realtor representing the home buyer and the new home sales agent? So who wants to tell me what their experience has been taking a buyer into a new home project?
Currently, it's lovely.
Positive?
For me, so far.
Yes. Yes. So they greet you warmly, right?
Most of the time.
Yeah. How many of you visit before you take your buyer in?
Try to.
Excellent. That is excellent. Yes. Yes, that is going to be key. Right now, builders really need our help. Actually, they always have. They're just now really admitting it. So I guess I should ask, are there any builders in the room? They've always needed the resale agent.
If you work for a builder.
Yeah, about 10%. Yeah, you could work for a builder. You do? Which builder? Custom?
TLD development.
I don't know.
Just a small builder. Just a
Residential? Yeah.
Around town. They handle all the sales.
So do they do infill?
No, we do everything on the outskirts.
Ah.
Everything on acre lot horse properties.
Oh,
cool.
Yeah, specialized. That's a specialized production.
The only agent in Maricopa or Pinell County that has a home under 200,000 on an acre.
Wow,
Wow.
That's impressive.
amazing.
Yeah, they're selling like hotcakes.
yeah, I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are.
That's great.
If you saw any of my stats from the last class, you know why that's happening. Because I don't care what Tina Tambor says. How many of you know Tina with Crumford Reports? I love her, I do. But I will disagree with her at least until 2020. Because Arizona, we're going gangbusters.
2024.
You think 2024? Okay, I'm gonna hold you to that.
Yep.
We'll see. I'm
It's gonna-
definitely
yeah, but
sticking
it's
to
gonna-
2020.
If it's not directly proportional.
There's too many people coming in, so just slow down.
Yes.
Yeah.
Get you-
Yeah, we're still a very affordable state, even with our prices having rebounded right now. We are still a very, very affordable state. Can I get you to put your phone down, please? Sorry, no phones. Realtor representing the buyer. So we, as a real estate agent, Resale, have a fiduciary to our buyer. We typically belong to local, state, and national associations. We sell both new homes, resale homes, we work buyers, we work sellers. We can sell land and lots. How many of you sell land and lots? Yeah, me too, love land. We work sellers, renters, and investors. Our expertise, primarily resale home listings. About 90% of our business as a real estate agent, even if you continue to show new homes, 90% of your business is still going to be the resale market. Buyer representation, leasing, negotiating. So we have in what they call a macro knowledge. The new home sales agent, their only responsibility is to the builder. And the associations, not required, but they might belong. They work, their audience is really new home buyers. Do you think they tell a new home buyer walking in that they don't represent them?
No.
No, they do not. Therein lies your value. They do not. But does the buyer think they do?
Yes.
Yes, they do, yes. Expertise, they concentrate on a specific neighborhood, a specific type of construction, probably limited models. Most builders today have about 5 models maximum, right? The builder story is what they know, and it's considered very micro. Realtors have a broad base of knowledge to cover the entire market, whereas a home builder sales agent is very specific about the specific subdivision and floor plans. What about the training? Realtors are generally trained to work the resale market. How many of your brokerages have training in new home sales? You're getting some today. You are getting some today, but not many. Not very many offer any kind of training or tips on what you should do and how you can increase your sales volume. New home agents are trained in the new home sales techniques, construction, and builder docs. That's what they learn. They have no clue what you do in the world, even if they are licensed and a member of the association. They do not understand the difference between your agency representation and their agency representation. Not their fault, they are just not trained that way. Did you have a question or a
It
comment?
might come up later, but on the new home sales, my thoughts have always been that you walk in with your buyer, and that at that point in time, they know that you represent them.
Right.
My understanding is if a buyer walks in, right now with their agent, they're starting to, the home sales, they're starting to not give you an opportunity to come in and sign the form saying you represent, even though that potential buyer has your personal card. That's what I do, because, people go off on their own, and I tell
Right.
them, look, take my business card, and if you have to go into new home subdivision, tell them that I'm representing you.
Yes.
I'm hearing that now that's changing,
But it's never worked, honestly.
Well, it wouldn't
It's
be-
called the threshold rule, is exactly what you're talking about. And what that means is, you have to be present with the buyer at the time,
And
at the very
register.
first time that they enter that subdivision, and register them. But there are some builders, I will tell you, there are some builders that will work with you. And now is the best time, and you'll find out why. I'm gonna give you the tips on what you need to do.
Yeah, well,
Did you-
that's why I asked the question, because the last 2 buyers that I've had on new homes, the builder worked with me. But-
Yes.
But I'm hearing, they're not gonna be doing that.
It doesn't always happen, right?
Okay.
You know,
Mary,
there's,
right? And then you, sorry.
yes,
When you said how many of us, I get the impression that the new home sales are just like a little small pod here, a little small pod. You never, hear it advertised, hey, you need somebody in the new home, set up or not, so. Are there
Actually,
many
they
people?
hire out of Highland Bay. There is a school here that specifically trains for new home sales agents. And if you don't take that very expensive course, you will not be considered by builders to work their project because it's a totally different perspective. Yeah, Highland Bay. How many of you have heard of Susan Highland? She's with Toll Brothers now. It was her school. She sold it several years ago. I don't know how good it is, but I know that they are still training here in Arizona. It's located right here in Arizona. I think Phoenix, maybe Tempe. And they send most of their salespeople to Atlanta, Georgia, and they pitch before builders there. And
They
then
are required to have a license.
they should have a license. They should have a license, yes. Yeah, anytime they start talking about more than one property or sales pricing, that kind of thing, then yes. It wasn't always the case, but today you're probably dealing with everybody who
They don't
is.
have to belong to the board, but they do need.
Right, don't have to belong to any of the associations, right? Did you have a question?
Yeah, is it the agent that typically would get the training, or is it the broker that would go? And
The agent typically pays for it.
then a comment in regards to, you were saying, I know that, and you'll probably get into this, I guess, a lot of the places that I've taken my clients, some of the, and I don't know if anyone is any more reputable or better, but a lot of times we'll register, the client, and they'll give me a copy of the registration, and if they don't, I take a photograph of it.
Yes.
And
I asked for a copy,
yeah,
and it should have their expiration dates on there too. Some are 90 days, some are 6 months, some are a full year.
and it's really exciting that, because you can never trust your client. That's just one thing. You tell them, don't ever walk into an open house.
As much as they love you, right,
And,
they don't think that you know what you're talking
and I
about.
always tell them, they represent the seller, and you want another pair of eyes on every document, to kind of
Yes.
review it with them. And they give the impression they're listening, but a couple of times, I think twice in the last 10 or 12 years, I've received a check where the people have gone back, never even talked to me, but I registered them, and I suddenly get a check at the office for a new home sale that I didn't even know they went back on,
Yeah.
And so that's exciting.
Yeah, I had that happen once. Yeah, I had that happen once. And it is exciting, except when you get the check, you're thinking,
What happened?
yeah, should I cash this? Right? Yeah. Did I skip your comment? Or
Yeah,
question?
it
Sorry.
says, some builders even have a registration online.
Yes, they do. Yes, you have to be careful with that though. So I get mixed stories. I do register all my clients online after I visit the subdivision and pick up their material. And I tell them I'm going to be mailing this to your packet to my clients, and I will register them online. Usually, either the reception at the desk or the salesperson is going to tell you, if you are going to be mailing this information, send the registration card, just submit the registration card. So it depends on the builder, on how they want to work it. The other thing is, not all online registrations are honored. So you need to be careful with that.
So the buyer does not have to be with you when you're registering?
Not when you register them online, does not have to be present.
But it
Yeah.
There was one community or one builder that was saying, yeah, you register once online and it registers literally for all their communities. It didn't matter.
Which builder was that?
It was a while ago. I forget what it was,
Yeah.
but
Or if you find out who it is, I will investigate it and find out.
No, they will say sometimes, but it won't work.
well,
Veritas?
I've never used it, but that's what. Yeah.
These
That was
are,
like a year ago.
Yeah.
I'll check with them.
Advertising that.
I will check with them. Any other comments? Okay. Okay, you're generally trained to work in the resale market. New home agents are trained in the new home sales techniques. What about the forms? Resale agents, we use pre-printed, what they call boilerplate AAR forms, which will not be acceptable to a builder. And there's multiple reasons for that. We're going to cover some of that. So the new home agents use just the builder's contract. Both the builders that I worked with in Prescott, one was an attorney, he drafted their contract. The other one had an attorney draft the contract. And it is definitely written to protect whom? The builder, yes. Everything is written to protect the builder. It is, the biggest difference is the purchase contract in how you sell a property. Resale agents usually work 7 days a week, but have the flexibility to take time off. Would you agree with that? Are all of you still working 7 days a week?
Oh, yeah.
Some, I get mixed reviews. I've worked 7 days a week all my career, so, but I have people say, nope, 40 hours a week, and that's it. I'm like, oh, good for you. That doesn't work. How about you?
Well, I just had a baby, so.
Oh, you have
But I'm still working.
Are you?
Congrats.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually had a lot of deals going through when we had them, so that was kind of fun and interesting. But,
Congratulations.
thank you.
Yeah, yes,
Thank you.
congratulations doubly.
So yeah, so actually this is my first class kind of getting back into it, so
Oh.
he's about a month old now, so.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
awesome.
You can start training him.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't know, you kids, both my boys grew up saying, no, not doing real estate. Not doing real estate. New home sales agents really start 10 a.m. typically to about 7 p.m. They will have 2 days, weekdays off, and will almost always work every weekend. Sometimes there's a staff of 3 that they will rotate through. But it's a whole different environment. Everyone in the new home sales process has a role, whether it's the buyer, the seller, the agent representing the buyer, or the new home sales agent, and even the builder will get involved. And typically they have their own escrow company. Sometimes they have their own lender, right? Are there advantages to using those companies? Yeah, yeah. Now there's a chair right here.
One of these.
So what is the role of the builder sales representative? So let's talk a little bit about that.
Here, you need this.
How many of you have ever taken a class on reading plans? Yeah, you probably have. That will hugely benefit you if you can learn to read a set of plans, because it's going to help your buyer when they go to select their interior items, knowing where electrical is, where your plumbing is, all that kind of stuff. So the very first thing that they're trained to do is greet and qualify. Big welcome, and immediately start to qualify the buyer, whether they are with you or not, right? Because that's what they're trained to do. We need to allow them to do that which they do well, because you will be prepping your buyer before you walk in that door. That's what you're going to learn here today. So they discover which builder floor plan meets the buyer's needs and wants. So you know how they have all those little, I go in and I pick up one of all of them that they have. And I get all their material. They show the buyer either models or floor plans that meet the buyer's needs and wants, with exterior elevations that the floor plan the buyer likes isn't modeled. Then they will sell the features and the benefits of the home. So they immediately go from one sales strategy, they can't find a floor plan, then they are going to push what they think might work for the builder or for the buyer. They're going to push features. So that's what, start listening for what they're doing, because they're all trained very, very consistently. But their big deal is to develop rapport first. So they're going to make you feel very comfortable at first. So they're going to sell you on the area, the subdivision, and they're going to really push the quality of their builder, which you will have already educated them on. That's going to be your role in this. So they have to be able to show the buyer, they create a vision of the new home since it's not yet built. So you haven't even walked out on a site yet. How many of you have helped select the site plan? Yes. So it really helps to know a little bit about land, sloping, elevations, all that kind of stuff. So how about closing the sale? What is the realtor's role in the new home transaction process? So the realtor, representing the buyer, has a very important role in the new home sales process. This is exactly what I heard at the National Association of Home Builders meeting back in October, is that we, as resale agents, have a very important role. They are really going to be pushing to increase their volume numbers. Have you noticed how builders now have some inventory? Yes, they want it to move. They don't want it sitting there. So they are the buyer's advocate, adding insight based on knowledge to help the buyer make informed choices. So when you walk into a new home sales office, do you feel, as an agent, do you feel welcomed?
Yeah.
Sometimes? Yeah, that's kind of honest. Sometimes you are, aren't you? Sometimes you're not, right? So the way you create, what I'm going to recommend to you that you do, is the way you create that relationship with the sales agent is go before you take your buyers, and then go regularly. Take 3 hours every 2 weeks to go to your favorite builder subdivisions and visit the sales agents. I always take food. You can see Charlotte spoils you here tremendously. Food works with real estate agents. So you take some, I always take some snacks or maybe some giveaways. I see what's new out there, what lots they've sold. I tell them what buyers I'm working with. They're going to try to encourage me to bring my clients in. I'm not going to commit, but I'm there to build rapport. So you will have that relationship. Yes?
Is the pushback coming back from the agent, the builder, or is there
It's the new home sales agent.
the agent?
And
Now,
it's
what-
not their
what is-
fault. Here's the thing that we really have to start working on, and it's what I talked to the builders group about. And I'm hoping you're going to see a bigger program come out in this area, because I am working with some of them. They've not really trained their agents on how to work with the resale agent. So I teach classes for new home sales agents.
Are
and
there
I will-
agents on staff, so they're not getting commissions on the deal?
Oh, they get
Oh, yeah.
commissions.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
They
They
work
double.
commissions, but their percentage is it's a base percentage, and it never changes whether you sell the property or not. It doesn't matter. They're gonna make the same amount. Their goal is volume. They get bonuses for volume. So if you walk in the door with a buyer, and the new home sales agent is sitting over here and not occupied with someone, and they do it in a rotation, you know, the top salesperson goes first, then there's a number 2, and then there's a number 3. And that number 3 is going to want to capture your buyer to add to their ultimate sales volume. They will get a percentage, but they're also going to get a bonus on that at probably mid-year or end of year, depending upon the builder and how they do that. Meritage did that, and they were very successful with that plan. But what we have found, I teach new home sales agents, and they think, when I go into that classroom, they don't realize I'm a resale agent. And they just sit there and blast us. I mean, they are so unkind, so unkind. And when it comes to who represents who, they get very angry that we interfere with the transaction, but it's all about representation. We're required to represent our clients, right? We don't have a choice. They are representing their client, the builder. We need to be allowed to represent our client. Not make ourselves look important, but make certain that our buyers are getting good information. Josh?
So is it more about that you don't necessarily think that they need representation, but that they think that we're not knowledgeable representation? Or do they legitimately think that we shouldn't be involved?
No, their training is that this is how a transaction flows, and they think that you just don't understand that. This is how it works. So if they were to walk a mile in your shoes, and I know a woman who was a Meritage new home salesperson that went into the resale, and 3 years later, she's like, I'm out of here. I don't want to do this anymore. Literally.
The resale, she didn't want to do the resale.
She does not want to do the resale. The responsibility was greater, it was a lot harder. She was always concerned about violating her agency relationship because she was so pro-builder. And she says, now I have to deal with all these other things, because once your buyer signs the contract, it's out of the salesperson's hands. It goes to a different, it goes into process to a different level. So the next thing is open the escrow and then have the buyer select their surfaces, right? Their special features, whatever they want. Sales agent doesn't work with that. If you walk back in that sales office trying to find out what's going on, they have to go through a very difficult process because they have no clue where it is in the process. You can get the escrow, the name of the escrow agent, good luck if you can get them to call you back, right? I insist that I get put on their email. If nothing else, escrow is gonna email me on everything that's going on.
So they wouldn't like changes that the buyer might wanna make then, right?
No, they don't mind the changes, yeah.
As long as it's done during the specified
It-
time period.
Right, it has to be done at a particular time,
Correct.
and they're gonna charge you.
Absolutely.
They're gonna charge you for any changes to their base plan.
So
All builders are.
this escrow agent works for the builder?
Yes, but they're still they're still a neutral party. So they can't violate, they can't not represent the buyer. But the contract is the ruling document. The contract is the ruling document. So when you visit this new home sales subdivision, you're gonna ask for a copy of their contract. How many pages do you think it has? Probably close to 50. Mhm. Yeah.
Wow.
Usually
Yeah,
legal
and they're not
service,
gonna wanna do it, just tell them, email it to me, if you don't wanna print it out, just email it to me. Because I need to become familiar with it. And they're not gonna want to, but you just continue to ask and eventually you'll get it. Here and then here, sorry.
So if I don't have a buyer right now, but I wanna set up, that relationship with the home, salesperson, do I just walk in there with
Yes.
a tray of veggies or something and say,
Yeah.
hey, I wanna meet you?
Yeah, and a stack of business cards, make sure you leave a couple of business cards. Absolutely, that's what I do. I go visit new home, and I'm behind getting that done, because there's lots of new ones.
They don't look at you weird, like, what the heck?
No, no,
Go
no.
like
I
right
tell 'em.
after lunch when they're normally slow and don't have anyone they're tending to.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
You know,
yeah,
that-
I try to hit them
talk
at a
to
time when they don't have a lot of traffic.
Because they'll discard you if they
Right.
have other people coming in, but if they're dead doing nothing, then they'll give you the full.
And if they're busy, go look at the models.
Right.
And pick
come
up
back.
whatever handouts they have, start to gather your handouts. But I wear my name tag, and I go in and I tell them, I'm here to just check out your subdivision, and they'll tell me which models. I'll ask for an inventory list, what specs do you have, what are the prices on those, they'll give you a list. So start to communicate with them. And they're gonna ask you, what area do you work? What price range buyers do you work? That's all part of their training. They're qualifying your buyer through you. So just give them those generals, because that's really what they're looking for. So how do you add value? You make sure you sign them in according to their registration policy. And that's the other thing you want to find out when you walk in. What is your registration policy? Even though it's written, I'm sorry, I missed you.
My question, since there is like 60 pages, do we as agents can get familiar with the contract?
A lot of it is just addendums for if they want to make changes, modifications to electrical, plumbing, and that kind of thing. I wouldn't worry too much about the addendums.
Okay.
You want the main legalese, which is probably about 10 pages. It's very small print. It will tell you up front exactly what's going to happen with the earnest money, which is the most important thing for buyers to be aware of, that once they write that check, it's gone. It's gone money. Because they started their process and they started their expense factor, so they're not going to be refunding money. So your people need to know that they've made the decision. In the back, and then I'll get to you, Fred.
Yeah, and whenever you're talking about registering, even though by getting to know the seller or the sales agents, it's kind of nice whenever you walk in and you've already met them and they say, hi, Mike,
Yes.
and it helps your client feel
Yes.
a little bit more comfortable. On the other hand, whenever you're talking about that earnest money, if you want to help your client, I think, understand that there's something that might be on the verge of even deception at times, and that what I found, almost every builder has it. They give you a timeline,
Yes.
but in the contract, it can be extended automatically without you being able to do anything about it. A year, 2 years sometimes.
You mean for completion of?
For completion,
Of construction.
yeah. They'll tell you,
Yes.
you're gonna go under contract thinking you're gonna get into a house in 6 months.
Yes.
But potentially,
Yeah.
it can be extended, and
We
you
just had
haven't,
that happen
Yeah.
on one. It's extended out 2 months.
and you've signed the contract.
Yeah, and the buyers came thinking it was going to be on time because there was no notification sent out. Although my husband and I had been visiting the site and we're thinking, something's not right here.
That's up to the agent
So we're,
to
yeah,
follow up on the completion dates.
yeah. So fortunately, this buyer was able to work out temporary housing, but it's supposed to be done now the end of January, and that's a 2-month extension to where it was supposed to be. So yeah, you need to explain that to them and prepare them. You know, even though they say it's done this date, there's no penalty if they don't make it. They have all of the caveats in there. Materials, weather, labor availability, whatever it is. So builders have different policies, so you've got to read that contract to make sure that your client understands. And you're going to be taking them to more than one subdivision, right? It may be. I mean, they may say, although I have to say this last buyer, there was only one. We sent them a number of websites to view. There was only one that they wanted to go into. But typically they will want to look at 2 or 3. But if they like the product, you always show the best one first, because if they like it, if it fits their needs and you've educated them already on the subdivision, they will make the decision. And it's just as emotional in a new home as it is if it were a resale. They get excited, don't they? And scared, all at the same time. How do you add value to your client? You let the sales consultants know how you like to be communicated with and how often. I always do this. I make sure that they have plenty of my cards. Email me here. I write it everywhere. Tell them how often you'd like to receive updates on the progress. I have done this. I don't always get those updates like I'd like them. So if I don't hear from them, I will email them. And I will give them a day or 2 to respond, because they're production. They're pushing stuff out. You're not a high priority.
How often are you asking them to keep you updated? Because like right now, ours is 8 months. So like, what's reasonable every 2 or 3 weeks to ask for an update?
Oh yeah, I like to hear, well, in the beginning, I actually want to hear weekly.
Okay.
Once they've made their selections on their surfaces and their features and stuff, then I just want to know when the footings are being poured, you know, progress. So yeah, probably at that point about every month. Asked to be CC'd on all correspondence to the buyer. This is one that I get really upset about. And you should too. Why?
Because they won't do
They
it.
don't do it.
Crossing over that line.
Well, that way there's no surprise, yeah.
That keeps you in a loop, but they don't think you're important if they can't keep you in the loop.
That's right. And here's the other thing. Your buyer's going to be reading something that you don't have, right?
Yep.
That you haven't seen.
Yeah.
And they're going to expect you to answer. How does that make you look or feel?
Out of the loop.
Yeah, and unimportant. Yes, and it makes you look stupid to your client. And I tell them, do not make me look stupid or I will not be back in here. Because I'm not. I mean,
That's what happened to me, but when I get back to the sales agent, he hardly ever responded, you know. I mean, I would email him, he wouldn't return calls, because my buyers were
Right.
getting correspondence, but I wasn't getting it.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's bad.
'Cause, you know, like you said, the buyer believes I'm stupid because, wait a minute, you don't have
Yeah.
this and I got it? And we find out why I didn't get it, but
Yeah.
very little.
So you're Hispanic, right?
I'm Hispanic,
So do you sell to Hispanic buyers?
mostly.
Yes. And why do you think it is they're going to cut you out of the loop?
They're gonna hear it straight from me, not, maybe they feel like they,
It's your culture. Because your culture, when you sell to one member of a Hispanic family, guess what happens now? The whole family gets involved, right? Are there more buyers, potential buyers in that group? Yes. You have the same thing, the Asian community, right? Yeah. You sell to one buyer, suddenly everybody's involved. And there's an opportunity for more sales.
And if they cut you out
they
from,
cut me out.
So you have to protect that territory. You absolutely have to.
Register
And
everyone, you know.
when I work with Hispanic families, I'm telling you, I have learned. I invite all the way up to grandma and grandpa. They come with, and they are mine. I keep them. Because they don't know the difference. Yes, Fred?
Marty, on the contract, but going back to the contract, is there a builder standard base contract? And does each builder go off of that?
No, they each develop their own. There's no boilerplate for the builder. Every builder has their own.
So we really have to look at every one of them?
Yes, you do. Yeah. There might be some similar terms and conditions, but every one of them is drafted differently.
I was hoping I could get a Word document that I could just match.
And a lot of times it depends on how big a production builder they are and how many states they cover, because the contract could serve 10 or 12 other states which can be really confusing as well. But yeah, you're gonna have to do a little late night reading. It's great bedtime reading. It'll put you right to sleep.
When you're talking about that, keeping in contact, the builders, agents, or sales staff, their whole goal is to develop that relationship with your client. And if I don't stay in the loop, my client begins to look at them as their representative.
That's what happens.
And
Yeah, that's exactly what happens. In fact, we're taking our buyers out to lunch this Saturday, and we have arranged to be at the closing. And we even had the escrow officer say, well, you know, we don't typically have the resale agent show up, we don't have enough chairs. And I said, well, find some, because we're gonna be there. And I even said, I've got a camp chair, I'll bring my camp chair. Yeah, you don't have to accept their first response. And it's just part of their training, you know, it's the process. They want you to just zip through the process. So help the home buyer pick out the home plan that fits their wants and needs, and if you've qualified them for what they're looking for and what their family dynamic is, and then you can help to show them, and I do send plans. I mean, I send packets of information. I used to have to do it FedEx back in the old days. And now it's really easy to do via email. You can just scan most of this stuff in and send it. Help the home buyer pick out the right home site for their new home based on your experience and future resale potential. I have a lot of land experience. I was president of the Land Institute for like 3 years, and I love land. It's really easy for me to look at a plat map and the elevations and figure out, but if you don't know, start teaching yourself. Get a plat map, start walking out on those lots and educating yourself, and find out what's going to be built on the neighboring properties. If you're selling a single level home and they're going to be building 2-level all the way around, then that might really be a deterrent to your buyer. Make sure you get copies of the CC&Rs and that you know what their restrictions are. These are big ones: flags, RVs, and basketball courts. Actually, flags are now, you can't outlaw them, but you're restricted to 2. Terra Vita, the guy in Terra Vita, the retired Marine, flew the U.S. flag and the Arizona flag and the Marine flag. And the Homeowners Association sued him. Do you remember that? Came out, I don't know, it's been 10 years ago or more. And he won his lawsuit. It took him 4 years, but he won his lawsuit.
Is this a national ruling?
No, it's state. Arizona State. Yeah, and there are certain flags that are approved. So now he flies the U.S. flag and his Marine flag.
Arizona's out.
I think he rotates, because I have a client that lives there, and she said every now and then she'll drive by and it'll be the Arizona flag this month. So, review the public report statement with your home buyers. Explain to them what these things say, because some of them are written using terms that they're not familiar with, that you just know automatically because you're licensed. Has a lot of information that you need to be aware of before you commit, like CFDs. Look for community facilities districts. That's going to raise their taxes. That's a big caveat right now, especially on the west side. That's how they are paying for improvements for their subdivisions, is through community facilities districts. And it's not a tax, it's a bond. And it takes years for it to go away, and not all of it will go away. So you need to understand that part.
I have a silly question pertaining to those. Are those on the community level? Are those more on the city level? Are they on what level are the CFDs? Are they like a subdivision type thing where if you move to the subdivision, or is it more like, because forgive me, I get confused between the Buckeye thing and everything like that. So
it could be county, and it could be community, it could be city.
Okay.
It could be town or city. Yeah, whatever's incorporated. The most common you're going to see is the county, but there are communities that have a CFD. Yeah, okay. Litchfield has a CFD. What is the builder, what's the name of that subdivision that really, when it first hit, it raised all kinds of concerns, because what people thought were their annual property taxes, almost 60% of it was a CFD charge, and they did not know that, and it didn't show up on the public report. Ooh. It was listed, it was included in the taxation, it wasn't separated, and it needs to be separated on your public report.
Does that cover like utilities that were put in that
No,
subdivision?
all of the exterior developments, like the sidewalks,
Common.
exterior lighting,
Parks.
maybe flood basins, parks, yes. Marley Park, that's the one.
Oh, okay.
Marley Park.
What does CFD stand for?
Community Facilities District. CFD, Communities Facility District. Review your financing choices that the builder offers. I always look at both. Sometimes there are huge benefits to working with their builder because they've negotiated those fees way down for volume. So it can sometimes benefit a buyer that's right on the line of qualifying. The other thing about using the builder's lender is that they will really push to get that buyer qualified. So you've really got, because it benefits both sides for them. Make sense? And sometimes there's some bonus, like they'll throw in, the lender will throw in 500 towards closing costs or whatever.
Yeah, when this week they had, if you bought one of their spec homes, they offered you closing costs and they negotiated somehow like they prepaid interest for a lower interest rate.
Yeah.
And it was like 3.9%.
Oh, they bought it down.
Yeah.
That's what they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Just for
They used
2
to do
months.
that a lot.
Just
They
this
used to
month
do
and
it a
next.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's starting to come back because it's more competitive now. Educate your home buyer client on the new CFPB TRID rules. This is on all of the timelines. I still have this in my material, but I have to tell you that your escrow people are going to take care of that for you. If there are changes, it's going to change the timeline, but your buyer will be told. So anything that changes in the process of the loan in this area will affect the closing date. But this is probably not, is going to be ready to go way ahead of the final construction anyway. So it's not usually a big worry. Make sure you understand, that they understand their responsibilities under the new rules. They have to be open and honest. They're going to have to provide lots of documentation. I still get that buyer, you know, from 15 years ago that says, well, why do I have to do all this now? Why do I have to fill out all these applications? Why do I have to go back 10 years for my tax returns? Well, because you're an independent contractor and they're going to ask for this. And if they ask for it, you're going to deliver it or they're going to deny you. That's really right where it is. Set expectations on your closing date. Talk about, you know, it could get moved out, so don't make any permanent plans. Don't hire a moving van yet. And time is of the essence. Make sure you, yeah.
So in the form, as a resale agent, we put again the time of essence date. In this case, you wouldn't, or?
Well, it's our builder's contract, so they can move it back.
Well, time is,
Estimated.
actually, time is of the essence. It pertains to doing everything within the contractual and your state guidelines. So time is of the essence is actually a state law. It's Arizona state law. As an agent, that's why when we talk about placing someone else's interests ahead of your own, when you get into a transaction, your job is they become your priority. That's part of the challenge with being a licensee in Arizona, is that you're required by law now that is your priority to push that forward in their best interests. So that's what they mean by that. So if they are supposed to show up at the center to select their surfaces or whatever, their flooring, their countertops, their appliances, then they have to do it within the right timeline.
Is close of escrow before the building is complete?
No, never. They have to have a certificate of occupancy issued by the state. Yeah. Make sure you talk to them about the pre-qualification process, utility services, insurance that they might need. We are developing, a lot of these new developments are going to be in floodplain, so you want to make sure that you're getting an elevation certificate for these folks, and flood insurance is going to cost more money. A lot of the land sales that have occurred have been properties that are in floodplain. Options. Always keep in mind future resale, help them select their flooring, electrical outlets. This is where builders make a lot of extra money, is asking for extra can lighting and that kind of stuff, so you people aren't buying a lot of lamps and whatnot. And really lamps, even the tall skinny ones, are kind of going out these days. So, you know, the sensitive lights. So make sure that they plan to spend a little bit more on that. Window options. There's a number of builders that have odd-sized windows. If they break, it's going to be a custom job to replace them. I know. I have some of them in my house that I did not realize were custom. So just make sure you're checking those things, and if you learn how to read a plan, you'll know which ones are the standard versus the larger size. Attend all the walkthroughs. You know, we have gone through walkthroughs for our buyer who was in Colorado. We've gone through the footings being poured. We actually videoed it. Then when the framing was being done, and we videoed all of that. So you can do the same thing. It's really easy today. Use your cell phone. And this particular buyer, this was Pebble Creek, Robeson. So they're in their early 70s, and we were concerned that, and I don't know why, because I'm not that far off from the same age. I was concerned that they'd have a hard time with the video off my iPhone. No, they loved it. They loved being able to see what was going on the street. We gave them a street view, front view, then we walked through the property and gave them a back view also. And some builders are not starting construction right away. That's another reason for the delay. So they'll wait until they sell 4 or 5 on a block before they start. That was typical. It's changed a little bit now because the volume is going up, or the demand. Attend the closing. Yes, I highly recommend that. And they're going to discourage you. Even on resales. Do they invite you to the closing?
No.
The escrow? No. Do they want you there?
No.
No. They tell me that they do. Oh, we'd love to have you. Yeah, I'm the last one to know. But I attend every one of my closings. Why do you think they don't want us there?
Questions?
Take it longer.
We might see something and bring up a question, and it's not that we're trying to make them look bad, but it is part of our job to protect their best interests. And if they have questions, they are much more comfortable asking you than they are the escrow officer, because they don't have the relationship with that person. So just be there. Be there. Even if there's a mistake made on escrow documents, they will find it, they will catch it, and they will correct it later. Fred, and then you.
I always tell my escrow agent, hey, we're partners.
Yes.
And I want a
Yes.
relationship with you that I am going to be informed.
Yes.
And I don't let them get by with anything, otherwise I'll fire them.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I was trained the same way. They're part of my team. I'm responsible for that contract. They have to adhere to the contract. I'm here for a second set of eyes and ears and to help get this thing done. You need to inform me if there are problems early on. And if you've made a mistake, just let me know. It happens. Yes.
You indicated that with a new home purchase, the escrow is supposed to be kind of a neutral place. But if there's a question or if something is challenged in any way, quite often the escrow company and their management act as kind of like a mediation type thing. They make decisions. How neutral are they if they have a relationship with this builder?
Well, they have to be because of the law, but I will tell you that there are lots of complaints right now at the banking department and insurance, because escrow is regulated by both AZDFI, the Department of Finance, and the Department of Insurance. So they have 2 different bodies of regulation. So we're working with a buyer who's gone into a number of new home subdivisions recently without us. But this was the buyer I might have mentioned to you in last month's class, selected 2 properties to see day after Thanksgiving. And one was an open door and the other was a Zillow property. They did not realize that it was open door because that was not the sign that was out in the front. Open door does pay referrals to other agents to market their property so that they're not doing dual agency. So they didn't realize that it was an open door property. The feedback, they had been in escrow with an open door transaction with their escrow company that was located down in Tempe. It was like this massive civic center with just a bunch of tables and chairs and people with computers in it. And every time they asked a question, they wound up not signing their escrow instructions. And when they asked past, there were a number of things that were wrong with the document. The husband of this couple is very observant. He says, well, your numbers aren't adding up here. There's something not right. I'm not understanding this. And the response repeatedly was, I can't do anything about that. If you want the house, I need you to sign here.
Oh, wow.
I can't do anything about that. And they warned us. They said no open door and no Zillow properties. Now the Zillow, we went through a different process with them, but now they've eliminated those properties from, they will not deal with either one of those companies. And, who?
Offer that.
Oh, yeah. I'm not hearing good things from any of the buyer community on any of these. I never disparage anybody, but when I'm hearing that this is happening to a lot of buyers, it's not just agents that have this bias. Buyers are experiencing this and don't want to work with these companies.
We need to
No
publicly
SBDS
discredit
knows, pardon me?
them. We need to publicly discredit them.
You have to be
They'll be
careful
gone,
because
so.
you're a member of the association. So if you have, yeah, you can file a legitimate complaint, just don't badmouth them. Why not? Not only is it a violation of your code of ethics, but if you are caught doing that, they can sue you. And you don't want that discredit showing up on your record. It's not worth it. They're going to take care of themselves. They thrive now because the market is great. When the market turns, and they really were impacted by this slump. They don't like to keep anything on the market more than 120 days. They've got lots of stuff out there. And you're starting to see price reductions, because stuff is not moving. Okay, help. Here's what NAR said that the buyers are looking for for agents to help them with. Negotiate price and terms. Find the home with our specifications. Coordinate viewings and appointments. Draft offers and contracts. Assist navigating the process. That's why you need to read that contract and figure out what's going to happen where. Knowledge of market conditions. Determine what comparable homes will sell for. Buyer information on available properties. References for inspectors, brokers, buyers, others. Knowledge about the neighborhood. So this was a buyer and a seller survey that they did last year. Yes, sir.
This presentation, can you email it to us?
I can send these slides to you. The second part I can't because they belong to R.L. Brown.
Okay, so this
Yeah,
first part.
so in the second part of this, if we get to it, you can photograph those slides. So it's a team effort, takes confidence building between on-site sales and the Realtor because we're both trying to do the same thing. You want me to go back?
Please.
Okay. And if you give me your card, just write slides on it, and I will get them to you within 48 hours, I promise. Okay? Okay. So, build your relationships. You both want the same thing. They want to make a profitable sell. They want to help the buyer find the dream home. We need to work as a team and not be at odds. So some of the concerns or fears that real estate agents have. So I hear all kinds of things. The number one thing is that the way the real estate agent is received by the new home sales office. That's their biggest worry, is that something will be slipped into the contract that we don't know about, and we're going to be held responsible for it because this is our client relationship, right? And the new home sales agent does not realize that. So when you're with the new home sales agent, you really need to pay attention to everything that they say and read everything that they hand out. When you get to the contract, you should have already read all those terms and conditions, especially the first few pages that are going to so clearly impact their close of escrow. Now, if they're an experienced new home sales buyer, what are they going to tell you? We've done this many times. We know exactly what we're doing. So I sold a home in Prescott to some dear friends out of California, Southern California. It was a Dorn home. How many of you know Dorn? They really build a nice product. Not the easiest people to work with, but they honored the online registration, and I went and I picked up a lot of their material. I knew which floor plans our buyer was going to like. They selected the floor plan without ever coming to Prescott. Then we walked lots. And I was able to negotiate $60,000 off a lot price.
Wow.
Why? Why?
Because you knew, you had done your homework, oh, because of their relationship.
It was the last 3 lots. They had 3 lots in their last phase. And what does the builder tell them? We're not moving to the next phase until you sell these. So I got to negotiate $60,000 off of a tremendous view lot. I had to ask for it. I had to push for it. I had to go back, 2 or 3 times and say, I think this is going to be the lot. And during that process, one of the other lots had already sold. So now I'm down to 2, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I've got to just go ahead and commit to this lot, have them commit. So the last day we drove up there, I didn't even stop at the sales office. I went right to the lot. Do you think they saw me?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they were right up there in their little buggy. Here they come. But it had been like 2 or 3 weeks now. So they can't move, they can't close out those models and move to the new phase until they get those other 2 lots sold. So pay attention when you're looking at that plat map in their office. They have all their lots laid out. How many red buttons for sold do they have in there, and how many lots are left? Because that's when they're most motivated. And the other thing is, for specs, if they've got specs, which they now do, have spec inventory, don't tell your builder I'm teaching all this to real estate agents, okay? You can, actually.
We do it a little different.
Yeah, you do.
Completely, yes.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it sometime, really. I'd love to have your card. I'd love to talk to you about it. So the next thing you do is you look for inventory. You won't know how long it's been on the market, but how much inventory is there. Because builders do not like that stuff sitting there and languishing. It's not good for their money. It's not good for their ability to borrow and build more. It affects a lot of things for the builder. You bring them a reasonable contract, they will work with you. I guarantee you, they will work with you. Yes.
Do they still sell the model homes and rent them back?
Yes. Almost all of them do now. They're sold within the first 6 weeks of being open, typically, if not
And the
before.
staging of the furniture, is that just rented?
They rent it. Yeah, they rent it. Okay. The agent fears that they will lose control of their buyer by turning them over to the new home agent. If you've developed a rapport with both, you have less likelihood of that actually happening. That's why I'm encouraging you to develop the relationship early on with the new home sales agent. They're probably going to be there for a couple of years. So you could keep going back, and the more deals you do, and the more times you request that person, the better you're going to be treated. Distrusting the builder or the builder's agent because they've been burned, that's me, or heard similar stories at their office, right? Here's the deal. I used to think that every buyer that I came in contact with, I was going to get into escrow, right? That does not happen. And in this situation, it's the same thing. So I tell the story about my sweet little people from California, nicest couple. They were referred to me, they come here, no, we want Scottsdale, which is typically where I sell, Scottsdale, Tempe. We want this kind of a house. We don't want new, we don't want to have to buy window dressings, we don't have to do landscaping, we don't want to have to do all the other stuff that you have to do with the new home. Okay, fine. I worked with them all weekend. Sunday afternoon comes, and they're exhausted. They didn't find anything that they liked. So they're on their way back to LA, right? I-10, headed west in the sun, right? What sign is out there on the freeway? Verado, yes. And sweet wife says, well, honey, instead of trying to fight this sunset, how about if we just go look at these new homes? And then we'll get back on the highway, right? Did they buy a house? Yes. Yes. So about an hour and a half later, they call me. Marty, guess what? We found our house. Where are you? We're at Verado. But don't worry, the sales agent here says you can represent us. That's what she said. Can I represent them?
Yes, you can.
I can.
You won't get paid.
Does it mean that I'm going to get paid?
No.
No. So you can represent. Representation does not equal compensation. Write that one down. Representation does not equal compensation. Did I get paid?
I don't know.
No. Did not get paid. They bought the house. They did not know until they were getting ready to resell the house. When they got ready to resell. So here's what they said. Well, 3 years later. Well, you got paid in commission when we bought it. Does that make us, because part of my marketing is, if you're a repeat client, I will discount my fee to you. They wanted the discount. And that's when they learned that they were not a repeat client. That was the first they had heard
They
of it.
didn't look at the settlement statement to the seller's side and see no commission?
Nope.
That was
Nope.
so good of you. How could you have not brought that up ever? That's
No,
amazing.
I did not.
Good job.
No, I didn't.
Wow.
No, it wasn't appropriate. They were thrilled with their house. They were thrilled. They still
Yeah.
loved me. It could have changed the relationship, and I didn't want that. I didn't know they were going to sell in 3 years, but they didn't get the discount.
Did you get, oh, you got the resale.
They did not get the $500 discount.
Can't be free.
So the resale agent is concerned that they will be left out of the process. This is a big one, and depending upon the builder and how busy the builder is, this could happen to you. You have to constantly bug them. Some of them you will. Ropes and Homes, we don't have to. We hear from them probably every third or fourth day. Nothing's changed, we'll keep you posted. Please communicate to Mr. and Mrs. Ricks, blah, blah, blah. And they're great. They're probably one of the best I've worked with. Concerned that the new home agent doesn't have the buyer's best interests at heart. To a degree, that's true. But they do have to make the buyer happy, right, to get them to sign. Because not all buyers are going to sit there and sign immediately. They're going to look at the contract. Almost every buyer I have ever worked with wants to take a break. Isn't that what happened in Friends? We went on a break. And go and read the language in the contract. Or they want time with you to see if they don't want to look stupid, but they also aren't comfortable yet to sign. So sometimes I will ask, can we take a coffee break? We're going to run over to Starbucks. Let us go through this language. And sometimes they'll just say, well, I'll just give you my office. And they will leave you in the office with your client. You had a comment?
Would I be able to read the contract before go signing? Like, there's no way I can look online? Do they have it in the website or something?
I don't think they do, but it would be great if they did. I've always had to ask for them. And I've had to ask for them more than once.
Yeah, they don't
Because they'll
wanna
say,
give it to
well,
you.
they're really bulky, they're always changing. No, they're not. They do not change them. They're pretty standard. And I just tell them, well, if you can't copy, if you don't have a copy, just email it to me. And I don't need all of the addendums, because I have all these addendums for extra stuff, right?
Will they share with you without a plan, just introducing yourself to them?
Yeah, I tell them, I want to read your legal language, and I've always gotten them. But I won't say that it's been easy to get them.
Your time bell's gonna ring, but I wanted to ask a question.
Oh, no, I'm not done.
I had buyers recently that I went through the walkthrough. They didn't expect me to be there, the builder, but I was. It wasn't a good experience because my buyers were concerned about this or that, and they were taping, the contractor, I don't know what time we had and so forth.
They were videoing them or recording?
Well, neither. I mean, they were just marking.
Oh, marking, blue tape, yeah.
Yes, okay. Real quick, the rework was supposed to be done and so forth. 6 months later, my buyer's still calling me in and saying, look at the tape, it's still there. I can't get them to do this. I can't get them to do that. And I've tried calling, and I don't get any response. And I feel bad for the buyers because I represented them, And
So what can you do?
What can I do?
After 6 months,
Well,
call
I
the
don't know.
registrar of contractors.
Registrar of contractors?
That is really pretty common, actually. I had the same situation with the builder, and it was month after month after month. And some of it was electrical that was not working. So it was affecting their lifestyle. And finally, we just filed a complaint with the registrar of contractors, and it was fixed immediately.
That will get their attention.
It will,
Immediately.
yeah.
Immediately.
But I wouldn't encourage you to do that without trying to work it out with them first. Nobody likes to have that black mark on them. But if you've contacted them repeatedly, called them, and they're not responsive, because what they'll do is they'll have to go hire someone to bring them in if they're that busy. They're just going to have to get more help in. And is labor a challenge for us in this state for new home builders? For building, construction, period.
Well, that's the question, because my buyers started talking to me about a possible lawsuit. So I got back to my broker, and he says, stay away from that, don't go in that direction, try to do everything you can.
Try to resolve it.
Try to resolve
Yeah.
it, So I'll mention to him,
Recommend that they file a claim
Yeah.
to register a contract.
That's really good advice,
Yeah.
because it'll get fixed then.
You should stay out of it, or you'll have
Yeah.
liability.
That's right.
You will.
Yeah. That they, concerned that the new home agent will make them look bad in front of their client. Concerned that they don't understand the new home construction process well enough. So learn it, go and ask, admit your ignorance. I work with a lot of really great people in this industry, and every one of them is not afraid to ask a question and admit, I don't know this, can you explain this to me? I don't understand this, can you explain this to me? Concerned that they cannot sell off a plan as they normally deal with homes they see, touch, and feel? Yes, and you can learn this too, how to read a set of plans. It's not that difficult. Did you have a comment? No. Yeah. Home builders' concerns. That their sales agents have been, I guess that the new home builders and their sales agents have about dealing with realtors. I think new home sales agents are intimidated by us. The new home agent wants the resale agent to allow them to do their job, which is to ask those questions, determine floor plans that fit the buyer's wants and needs. Some resale agents won't even let their buyers talk to the new home agent. I know that's true. I've taught this class many times, and I've had agents say, oh yeah, I go in and I tell them I'm their voice. If they have questions, they ask me, I ask them. You shouldn't do that. You can't build a rapport if you're gonna build fences like that. So resale agents rush the process, don't know when to let the new home agent close the sale. That's very true. They know how to sell their product. You need to listen for the things that would go against the buyer's wishes as it's been communicated to you, and let them do their job. Some even tell the buyers that they have more homes to show after the buyer is ready to sign a new home contract. Okay, gosh, how many more of these? Yes, take your break. The new home agent worries that, actually I don't believe this, that the realtor will never be seen again after they register their clients. I don't think so. Advantages of working the new home market. The new home sales agent does actually almost all the paperwork. You will have just oversight of what's being issued and delivered. New home builders have a preferred lender. Sometimes there's an incentive. We've talked about that. Have a preferred partner, title company. Can your buyer go to a different title company?
Sure.
Absolutely. What do you need to tell that buyer if they choose to do that?
They may not have the incentives.
Right, that they're probably gonna wind up, there will be 2 escrow fees. So the builder is gonna run through his company as normal, because that's the process, the way it's set up. And then your buyer will pay extra fees to accommodate their needs for a different company, but it can be done. And I've actually had buyers that insisted on it, and they paid the higher fees. New home sales agent, construction superintendent, they know their homes really well. Let them help you explain the process to your buyer. Make sure you do that walkthrough. Just like we heard here earlier, the blue tape, the stuff not getting done. Now it's so easy today. In the old days, we had to go write everything down. I'd follow around like a puppy and write everything down and take pictures and take pictures. I had more disposable cameras than you can imagine. Now it's just really easy to go right behind. You can even hear what the inspector is saying at the time of the walkthrough. So you'll have a good record of it. What determines a buyer is actually a candidate for a new home? Okay, here's a few stats, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. Most of these you can Google and you can find them. Home shopper preference is in our favor and the opportunity better than ever. So 1.9 potential customers, 31% of buyers today prefer new. There's 35% that are indifferent. They will buy either one. There is another group that prefer existing homes because they believe that homes being built today are not as well built as they were 20 years ago. In some cases, I think they have a good argument. Most builders, pardon me?
They don't have a problem with the HOA.
Yeah, that's the big thing right now. Even on resale though, we're seeing that. They do not want to deal with homeowners associations. So if you have sellers that are in homeowners associations where the fees are high and the HOA is difficult to work with, you can Google homeowners associations now and find out what's going on with them. And there are buyers that just don't want to deal with it. They want that 1 acre, new build, way out.
No HOAs, no
No
restrictions.
HOAs. I can park
Get your
my
house
RV,
purple
my
if you
boat.
want.
On a well.
On a well, a lot of them.
Well, most builders still don't do a great job of selling against resale, and this is a fact. So just to show, we talked about new 31% prefer new, 35% are indifferent. Here is, there's about 67% of the people that will strongly consider a new home sell. So average, and these are Arizona, 10%. They sell 10% to our 90%.
Wow.
Yes, yes.
Do you think that it's any higher here than it is in other states? And the reason I ask is that it seems like, with the exception of missions and stuff like that around the state, we tear down things that were built in the 60s and 70s and rebuild. And,
Yes, we are doing a lot of that right now.
and so we don't have a lot of heritage here. Everybody seems to want to have
Right.
newer or new.
Yes.
Is that more
It's-
here? Or?
No, it's happening everywhere, actually. A part of our challenge is, for as big a state as we are, our population really isn't that great. I mean, we're not an overly congested state. Maricopa County is an overly congested county. You're in the right spot for real estate. I'm just going to tell you, you are. Probably the best time in your career is about to come. But the fact is, we have a lot of land that can be developed, and it's going to be developed based on water. But with that's going to come some unintended consequences, right? Yes, pollution, air pollution is going to increase. I've been watching the inversion layer, you know, in the valley. I mean, it's pretty bad. You guys are centrally located. What does that mean for you?
We get it all.
You can go in any direction. You can go in any direction. And you've got access to all these freeways. You have, really, you're in the heart of it. You're right in the center of Maricopa County. Okay, new home sales. 84% of home buyers plan to use a realtor. This was a new study that just came out. 63% of new home buyers are represented by a realtor. You think it's more?
No, I wouldn't have guessed more than that.
Yeah.
I would say less.
Actually, this is up. This is up from where it has been. Yeah. So you have the opportunity to influence. So home search process, online website is 89% for the different age groups, and I'll send these slides to you so you'll be able to see them a little better. How they find them through the real estate agent. What does yard signs still sell? Yes, still a very high number. Mobile or tablet website or application. Online video sites, print newspaper is still 27%, believe it or not. The home builder, 17%. Home Booker magazine, 15%. Billboard, 5%. Television, 4%. And relocation companies are responsible for 3%. And then they take these percentages and break them down into the age group. Who's the biggest buyer group right now?
Millennials.
Millennials. And who's right after them? The boomer. Yeah, those two make up over 65% of your buyer pool right now. Then come Gen Xers, and the neat thing about Gen Xers is that they have money because they live a minimalist lifestyle. They have money in the bank. They don't have a lot of credit card debt. They keep their debt low, so they are very strong buyers. Then if you get over the boomer generation into, what do they call that generation?
Old people.
The older people. They're cash buyers. They are cash buyers, and they are quick. They are cash buyers.
Canadians.
Canadians, yes. According to NAR, the average realtor derives 16% of their income from new home sales. So if you are not counting 16% of your annual income can be designated towards new home sales, and you are missing some income. Here's the neat thing about builders. They will pay you what they advertise they will pay you. If it says they're gonna give you a 3% commission, they will pay you a 3% commission for you to bring a buyer.
Even if you
Bring the buyer.
disappear.
Pardon me?
Even if you disappear.
Even if
And
you
never
disappear,
show up to
they
anything,
are
you
gonna
still
make
get
sure that
paid.
that deal closes.
Yep.
They sure will. You can be the worst agent in the world, and you're gonna get a check. Do the math. Let's assume that the median price of a Phoenix home is $350, 3% commission, that's $10,500. You sell one new home per month. Look what you've done. Now, I can't sell one per month. I tell them right when I walk in the door. You know, I might be 4 or 5 new homes in a year. Might be. So, but half of that would be pretty good, don't you think? I'd be happy with that.
Can you negotiate with them as far as, several of them that I got involved with, they would give commission on the base price of the house and nothing else?
That's what they do.
Okay.
They give it on the base price. I did, on that lot, they did pay me on that one lot sale that I did after I negotiated that price way down. It wasn't a whole lot. I think it was like $15,000 is what they actually wound up paying for the lot. But I did get paid on the lot. I don't get paid for any of the upgrades or the improvements on the inside.
And that's pretty typical.
It's very common, yeah, yeah. So what are the steps to get you started? Find a resource that will give you the new home subdivisions in your market. You have those. I handed out some resource list for you. Visit new home communities in your area. Introduce yourself repeatedly. Don't just go once and walk away. Make sure they are calling you by your name within the first 6 weeks. They know you when you walk in the door. Oh, hey, you're back. What'd you bring us this time? Tell them what you want to accomplish with the new home sales and ask how they can help you. How can you help me help my clients? How can you help me help my clients? That's a reasonable question, right? I guarantee you they will help you. Approximately 80% of new home sales are made through outside agents. You're a part of the sales team. They want you to bring your clients. They want to help you with future sales. Now I'm going to show you some statistics shortly that are just going to kind of blow you away. And it will tell you exactly why they are really wanting to work with the resale community. New home builders want, let's see, they have a lot of resources. They can help you. You want to get on their distribution list, contact the new home office, and let the sales representative know you're coming out with clients. I always let them know beforehand. But I can only do that because I've gone in and I know who's going to be there. I've got their cards. So, things you want to do is explain the process to your client beforehand. So new home sales are a little bit different than resale. And point out why. And there's going to be some tips on this slide that you can use, that you can develop your presentation. But educate them. The process is different. Register the buyer according to their process and let the sales agent do their job and you do yours. Help them make a choice that will sell in the future. So we concentrate on resale. I always do. Even though I have people tell me, oh, this is going to be my last home. That is never true. It has never ever worked out for a single client. The resale agent, the difference in the roles, we control the transaction in a resale. We control and manage all of the paperwork. We're responsible for getting it all turned in. We are the main point of communication. In a new home, the resale agent and the new home agent need to work together, and you need to tell them that that's your expectation. We're going to work together on this deal. The new home agent does most of the paperwork. There are multiple points of communication for your buyer. You should still be the primary point of contact for that buyer. Encourage them. If you have questions, you want me to check something, please call me, please let me know. You don't want to find out later that they didn't want to bother you. Always qualify for new homes if the prospect's price point is at least as high as the lowest price point for a new home. Questions you can ask during your internet search. Did you look at new homes? Have you considered a new home? Have you registered with any local home builders? Is that important for you to know? Yes, all three of these are really good questions. Consider some of the typical capital improvements. Here's where I go to work on resale versus new, because I'm going to tell you the new homes today with the appliances and the energy features, the older homes just can't compete. So, and all of this comes from reliable sources. So heating and air conditioning, the typical furnace has a 20-year life expectancy. Central air 15 years, replacement cost averages $4,100 for an air conditioning unit. I actually think it's a little bit higher than that because we're about to change out. $36.75 for the furnace. Prices are according to the remodeling calculator. You can go find them online. Flooring, carpeting, tile, hardwood flooring, refinishes. Almost every resale home I've ever been in needs some kind of flooring or surface change. It never, ever fails. The roof, 25 years is the average. Replacement cost of a roof for a small house is $5,000. Exterior painting, almost every resale home I have sold has had to be repainted. Same with the interior. People want to design it for themselves, right? So you compare all this to the new, they get to choose these colors. So it's that way when they move in. Kitchen remodel, $20,000 to $40,000, and master bathrooms a minimum of $15,000. Builder contracts are different for a reason. Standard forms, we've kind of touched on this, so I'm going to skip through. But their contracts are different because their liability and their obligations are different. Because they have an outflow of cash immediately, so they're pretty determined about how that process is going to flow from the beginning. Specific closing dates are not possible. Make sure you educate your buyer about the variables that could happen in this situation. Weather, inspections, vandalism, accidents, labor availability, material deliveries. Agents must understand and educate their buyers. So prepare them in advance. Builders are business people. Your dealing with builders will go smoother when you take the time to get to know them and understand. Visit their sales center. We've talked about all that. It's the same thing. Develop that trust relationship. Understand that builders handle many aspects that agents typically do for an existing home sale. This means the transaction management process is much simpler. It's simpler for you to a large degree. It's not simpler for them. Our files typically will look this thick, right? Theirs are going to be like more than twice that size because they have all of the amendments in there. They have evidence, invoices, they keep everything in one big fat folder. Be flexible. Try to impose on a new home sale the same process that you use for an existing home sale. It has to be different. Builders have detailed knowledge of their product, including warranties, materials, available options and upgrades, and they include a history of the subdivision. Leverage this expertise in your favor. Real estate agents are often looking for new ways to differentiate what they offer versus their competitors. Offer new home sales options. There are designations that you can earn. Let's say I am a new home sales specialist. I have achieved this designation. It's also a terrific market for an agent to become an expert. New home sales transactions typically offer less hassles than an existing home sale and certainly less competition from other buyer agents. All it takes is a little bit of time for an agent to understand the builders, why they do what they do, to reap the rewards that the market can deliver. New house, everything is new. Most of these components come with a warranty, sometimes for up to 10 years, and there are builders here who are offering warranties up to 10 years. With the resale, the equipment and structural features have been in use for a while and may be close to needing replacement. They may or may not be warranties, but if they probably have significant limitations on the resale. Know exactly why the buyers need you. New home salespeople represent the builder. These are points. No price negotiation, but perhaps there are other concessions that a builder will make. Tip, I gave you the tip. Wait until a section is about to be sold out or you've got inventory that's lingered on the market. That's when they're the most negotiable and anxious to put a deal together and move on to their next project. Inventory that has been on the market may have advantages. Educate and prepare buyer for additional costs. Buyers need a transaction coordinator. That will be you. That's not a bad word. You are going to coordinate that transaction with your client. That's really our job. And assist at the walkthrough. So here's some features listed. Greater energy efficiency, and it goes on down the list. I'm not going to read them all, but there's a lot of great ones there. Comparison, the new home versus the resale home. Some good options there. Energy efficient homes are a key selling point today. A lot of the millennials are buying new homes. And there's a couple of reasons why.
They don't have any repairs.
They don't want to do the repairs, but they also want the energy efficiency. They do, and
They
they
don't
want
wanna
communities. Pardon me?
They don't wanna work, they don't want a big yard neither.
That's right, no, they don't, they don't, they don't. So there's a whole list here of great savings that are available. If you go through, have you been through Pebble Creek, the Robeson homes? You know, those are heavily insulated homes, the way they build them. And you're, for a large home, you probably aren't gonna pay much over $100 a month for your, yeah, it's pretty amazing. Okay, resale agents are extremely important to the new home building process. I can't tell you how much. Finding the right builder for your buyer can mean increased business. I'm not going to go through a lot of these. I'll send them to you because I really want to get to the next one. That's where the really interesting stuff is.
Marty, I have one question
Yes.
when you're ready for it.
Yes, go ahead.
Title companies.
Yes.
If it's an in-house title company, are they an agency or a full title company that actually produces the title insurance?
They are a licensed escrow agency. They're not a title company. So
And they use a title company
yes.
underwriter?
Yes, they use an underwriter and they negotiate those fees. And usually an agency has to charge more for the title policy because they're buying it from another company. Does that make sense?
Yep. We have very few real title companies.
Yeah, we have the top 5, and then we have a lot of agencies. So you will wind up, in those cases, you will wind up paying a little bit, your buyer will wind up paying a little bit more for their title.
I have a question regarding the notary. Are they really allowed to charge $150 for notary fee?
Yeah, they're, actually Arizona is what they call a usury state. They can charge whatever they want. Yeah. Even credit cards here. Credit cards. They can charge whatever they want. So, okay, I really want to get into these. Oh, did I do the same one? I did this one.
Yeah.
I don't think. Oh, no, we're good. Okay, we're good. See, I was trying to decide if I should start with this first. Okay, so let's take a quick look. Phoenix was one of the hardest hit cities in the country during the Great Recession. Only Las Vegas fared worse. Took Phoenix much longer than many other markets to fully recover. They are saying we are now fully recovered. I still see some areas where it's not 100%, but in other areas we're over, so they're balancing it out. The following slides are going to show how Phoenix fell during the Great Recession. Some of these I'm going to skip because they're kind of repetitive. I can't share these with you because they belong to R.L. Brown. So single-family permits, what I want to show you here in the height, this is 2004, 2005. We were up over 60,926 single-family home permits. Here's where we were in 2015 at 15,000. That's how we dropped from 2005 down. Builders saw this coming. You can see from this chart they saw it coming because they started reducing what they were building. Their inventory was starting to shrink. They saw it coming. Even though we didn't, and I can tell you I went to an awful lot of meetings and I was told repeatedly, there's no bubble, right? Did anybody hear that? There's no bubble. They lied. They absolutely lied. So, new versus resale, if you look at the darker one is new home sales, look at how the resale market goes. Look where they are now. This is to the end of 2015. So you can see 90% of homes sold, easily 90% of homes sold are resale, not new. The builders say, we want to capture some of that market, right? The reason we don't is because the salespeople, we aren't taking our clients. Okay, another quick chart. Total monthly home sales in Metro Phoenix area 1992 to present. So look how we grew in 92. So this is, the peak right here is May of 05, right there. Am I bumping something here? May of 05. Here's where we are in November of 2017. We're just getting back up, starting to get back up for housing sales. housing sales. Employment, does employment affect housing sales? Absolutely.
Yes.
And this is why our population is expanding, is because of the jobs that are now being offered in Arizona. So you can see what happened here. Just look at these dates. November of 2007 to November of 2010. We did a major decline on employment. And we've not built back up as of 14. So you'll see some new ones here in a moment. Finally recovered in 2018 is what they're saying. Actually, the Valley's median home price soared from the past record. We've reached 268,000 where it was 265,000 in June. You can see on a price per square foot, new versus resale prices per square foot. You can see this is the new price, resale price, average square foot of home, and then the average price per square foot. This is new, this is resale. So you can compare. You can see the price per square foot in almost every instance is equivalent to, some are a little higher depending upon their upgrades, but you can just see, look, this one's 248.90, 226 on the average. So not that far off, right? Not that far off.
I forget, like, I got my license right, if you pick the day of the fault, that's the day I got my license. And
Congratulations,
so,
you survived.
Ignorance is bliss. What you don't know, you don't know, you know?
It's true, it's true.
But I'll never forget, I was helping my first client in Scottsdale, and the house she was looking at, and she was a first-time buyer, and I was like, are you sure you want to spend $125 a square foot in Scottsdale? Because at the time, you could get like surprising, like $50 a square foot, and it's just insane. It's what, $248 now?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the times have changed, right? Okay, so the permits are up also. If you took last month's class, at the end of 2017, we actually had issued 18,593. At the end of 2017, there was no builder inventory. They were only building based on secure contracts. And you probably have a secure contract for 4 months before they would break ground on your property. So let's take a look at where we are. 19,306 was our totals. Where's my 2018? Oh, let me see, what was that number? Okay, so that was the new home permits, closings. So they closed 18,593 homes. They were building 19,306 homes for the year. And then resales were 107,345. So now you can start to compare how the huge diversity in those numbers, right? And I've got some, no. What happened to my slideshow? Oh, no. Where's the rest of my slides? This is not the right one. Yeah, just get rid of it.
Our technology is great till it goes awry.
It's not your technology, it's something wrong with this. I had First American built this for me, and I think it's something else. Give me just a minute here.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Marty, I have a question.
Yes.
I ran across something whenever I sold a couple of new homes about 2 years ago, and I'm just wondering if it's changed any. One of the differences between resales and new is that I was really concerned about my client getting into a home they wouldn't appraise, and then I found out that they actually often keep these homes that have sold that we don't have a lot of that in the MLS, that they claim has sold for much more per square foot. And it's either that or they have some kind of arrangement with their lenders that they could sell for over the market.
Wow.
Have you run across anything like that where
You know, I haven't.
sales that are not easily identified by the resale agent?
Well, I will tell you that appraisers have access to a lot more data than just ours, first of all, and they will typically check all of that. But new home sales are not that hard to get qualified if the builder is very consistent with not negotiating their sales price down. That's the important thing, and they actually have a liability and a responsibility to preserve the values in a subdivision. Where you would have the greatest amount of negotiability would be with that custom home builder, who it's one home, one lot, isn't going to affect a whole lot of other people that he sold to or made promises to. Now, I know an appraisal management company, I've worked with them for years, and they have told me that new home sales are probably some of the easiest for them, because what we are selling today is starting to increase in value based on materials. It's a different kind of an appraisal, so it's based on materials,
It's a cost,
land values.
cost approach instead
Yeah.
of comparisons.
So a lot of factors feed into a little bit higher percentage for a new home sale. And there's less depreciation,
Big builders can make their own comps.
pretty much,
They do,
yeah.
through the cost approach. And it's accepted, it's generally accepted by most lenders.
So new home market share, from 2016 to 2017, you can see that there was about a 1% increase, and that's what they say, that there's about a 1% increase. So this is some information that came from Trulia. You can actually Google some of this, but it clearly says that the 10 markets poised for growth in the coming year, Phoenix ranks number 7 on the list, just behind Fresno, California, but ahead of Columbia, South Carolina, Colorado Springs, and Colorado top the rankings. They also reported that residents in Phoenix spend 33.7% of their income on housing, which signals strong starter home affordability in the market. So they're coming in with money down at 20% down payment. So it's a stabilized market for us. We talked last month about all of the population growth. Phoenix metropolitan area added 544,000 residents between 2010 and 2017. We are just going gangbusters. I quote the number 235 per day. One of these reports actually indicates that it's much higher than that, but I haven't validated that. Maricopa County, especially in suburban areas, could see the fastest growth. Without a doubt, we are. Most of the population that's coming into Arizona, over 75% of it is landing right here in Maricopa County. So you live here, you work here, there's benefits. We're also going to see all of the negative impact of that. Let's see, including Phoenix our jobs increase at 1.8% annual. How many of you signed up for that newsletter I told you about? And well, many of you weren't here, some of you were. azcommerce.com. So you really need, I get emails probably 3 times a week on new businesses that are moving here, where they're building space or renting space, how many people they're going to hire, what types of people they're going to hire. So you can see our income level in Arizona, I think we're in number 3 at the top in the nation now. One person working, their average income, we're almost at $70,000 annual salary as our average, which means all the low and all the high. Yes, yes, yes. Very good news for us.
Wow.
Yeah, would account for 75% of all job gains. Yeah, without a doubt. We saw more people move to the area than any other county in the U.S. during the past 5 years. Maricopa has been the fastest growing 2015, 2016, 2017. 2018 is not out yet. We're competing with Pinal. So I still don't know who's leading that race.
Is that your place?
Among the appealing attributes for migrants looking for a new city to live in was our relatively low cost of living, especially home prices. We are still very affordable, even though our prices are going up. So Greater Phoenix population, this came from the U.S. Census Bureau, was distributed by Elliott Pollock. So 2025, they're predicting that we are going to have 1.7% growth in our population in this area. The U.S. Census Bureau back in 2010, when they did the census, extrapolated saying we would probably grow 1% per year. We have already completely wiped that out. It's not true. Annual net change from 88 to 2019. annual net economic, so this, I don't know what this is for, recession periods. I don't even know what that one tells you. Maybe it just shows where we're coming back out of our recessions. Yeah, they don't, I started in a recession period in '84, way back here. Yeah, oh, did you? Yeah, it was tough. You learn a lot.
Yeah.
500,000 plus jobs and 1 million residents by 2026 from right now. So, and this is exciting news for me, and at the same time it concerns me because now our sky is disappearing. Our skylines are really, really growing. I will say that the demand for condominium type development, you know, the lock and leave type of home is really, really popular. That's all going inner city into infill places, which is good. Our rents are going up as a result, and so are our sales prices. So if you're working in the market, you got to get out there quick. You have to educate yourself every day so that you know what's going on. Job growth, Arizona is 7th in the nation. We're in the top 10, and the red is where jobs are declining. Employment growth, yeah, that's not that big a deal. Greater Phoenix, 87.4% growth. Yeah, we've just gone gangbusters. Let me get to some important stuff here. 2017, wages are up, yep. Land prices, okay, here's some important stuff. So you all know about Belmont, that's Bill Gates' city that's going in out in Tonopah, right? We're just waiting, actually, they're just waiting for Congress to pass the new NAFTA before they launch their plans. All their plans are at Phoenix. I don't know what stages of approval they are, but Bill Gates has said when the new NAFTA is approved, then we're going to launch. And they are already set up for all of that. China's already built their ports off of Rocky Point so that they can start shipping goods through Arizona. And that is the other reason, I told you last month, that China is so interested in Arizona, is because that highway connects Mexico and the US to Canada. And all those distribution points going east and west, right?
That's Interstate 11, right?
It's going to be US Highway 11. Yes, it is. And most of it's already built in Vegas, coming down to Boulder City. If you've been to Vegas, that was, oh yeah, it was done 2 years ago, and then the funding stopped. So now, because we did not have a deal, now I'm hoping that this goes through because it's going to be huge for all three of those countries. So land sales, let's just talk about some land sales. More than $275 million worth of vacant land changed hands in July, with sales of 1 million or more according to a study of Colliers International. And this is Phoenix area land. We're talking Maricopa County land. Nearly 175 million of the month's transactions was for land planned for single-family homes, accounting for more than 4,000 lots. Land for single-family planned lots accounted for about 1,177 acres of the total almost 2,700 acres sold. The Valley's housing booming housing market likely spurred much of last month's land sale activity. I saw, starting in July, because I get all the land updates, I started seeing all these land sales coming through. Large parcels and any infill piece that could be bought and found has been. So it'd be pretty tough for you to find something left over now. Brookfield Property Group, which is a Canadian firm, has paid $11 million in cash for 562 acres in Surprise, according to VISDA, Real Estate Database, selling for $19,621 per acre. The land is near Happy Valley Road, west of Dysart. 5 subdivisions, 542 lots, 5 subdivisions. Surprise, popular area for home builders. Toll Brothers is investing $250 million to build 2,200 homes in Surprise. Taylor Morrison Home Corp recently paying $4.9 million for 31 acres in Surprise. Pretty exciting? Yeah. Yes. Coming to a neighborhood near you really soon. So where are the buyers coming from? So I have talked about California for years, has always been our greatest influx of migration. It is still the fact. It's kind of funny what's happening now. So we have a growing number of people looking to move to the Valley from LA, Seattle, and Denver, a recent study shows. So many people from those pricier housing markets searched for homes in the Phoenix area this past year. Almost 34% of potential home buyers are searching for houses in the valley that live outside of the area. That was a Redfin report. So who wants to move to Phoenix? 23% of out-of-state buyers are looking in Phoenix are from Los Angeles during the first 3 months of this year, last year. Seattle was the second top spot for out-of-state valley home shoppers, according to Redfin. Denver residents' top relocation spot was Phoenix during the first 3 months of last year. Colorado City is smaller than others on the list, Denver, so it ranks lower for overall number of people. So when Colorado passed its recreational marijuana law, I got immediately, within a couple of weeks, I got 3 phone calls from clients saying, hey, car is loaded, we are headed north, we're leaving, house is ready to go, key is under the mat, get it on the market, get it sold. Boom, boom, boom. I sold 3 houses just like that. Had a call, now it's about 2 months ago, from one of the first ones, called and said, we can't afford to move up, home prices have gone so high, we can't afford to move out of the neighborhood, but the neighborhood is ridden in crime. We are moving back. Find us a house. So, this is evidence that, and you're going to have the same thing happen to you. I'm now one of the statistics. I'm an agent that actually has a buyer that's coming back from Colorado. Top 3 out-of-state destinations in order, and this is 52% of the California residents that are leaving California. Las Vegas was #1. That's changing. You're going to see that change this year as soon as the stats come in. Phoenix is #2. Prescott is #3. And they were going to Florida before all of the disasters. Now that's completely dropped off the map. Our research shows many California residents may have reached their breaking point. This came from Realtor.com. Affordability is pricing them out of the California home markets, and many are searching for more affordable options in other areas. Yeah, it's amazing what's happening. So you can see coastal Californians are moving. So Vegas has 8.1%, with Phoenix following right behind with 7%. And then the rest of those are all lesser amounts. Well, New York is 7.3%. I don't know why you want to move to New York, but that's congestion. That is congestion. It's a beautiful state.
And high taxes.
Oh, yeah, very high taxes. New figures from the Census Bureau show that nearly 262 people moved into Arizona from other states last year. So if you take that 262 and divide it by 365, you're going to come up with a really high number. I haven't validated that yet. It says the Census Bureau, but I couldn't find it.
Does that seems to be a big indicator that it appears our salaries are keeping up way better with the economy and everything
Yes.
than a lot of other states? Is that?
That is because of azcommerce.com. Arizona Commerce Authority, they are bringing in really good quality industry into our state that pays higher, that pays better.
A lot of tech jobs in these
A
valleys.
lot of tech jobs, a lot of medical jobs. There's a lot of, yes, our defense systems being really beefed up here, manufacturing of really, really quality products. There's so many things that they contribute to. If you don't go to their website, I just can't tell you enough. It's a 1-hour presentation that I do typically on what they have done for this state. We are literally changing that real estate boom and bust economy to a very stable economy. So if real estate drops, we should still be able to live normally and not be so heavily impacted. Because real estate, Arizona's relied on real estate to be the driving force since the 1950s. And it does not work. It just doesn't work for us.
Didn't you tell us last time we had 2 automotive manufacturing?
Yeah, the self-driving cars. We have 2 different cars, and we have the 18-wheelers, the semis, coming out of Tucson. Their facilities are being built right now. The cars are ahead of the truck. The truck facility is being built from the ground up in Marana. I mean, they literally, they bought the land.
18-wheeler.
Yeah, can you
That's
imagine?
scary.
It's a scary
It is
as it is
scary.
now, right?
It's very scary.
Scary enough.
It's very scary. But even the self-driving cars, I see a lot of them around the valley because I'm out and about a lot.
Oh my God.
And it's scary. I'm never really comfortable unless I'm sitting right beside them.
They don't have
If
dark
I'm in
tinted
front of them,
windows.
I'm
And you can't see.
You can't see. You can't see. And they look like, you know, with that thing on top that they're just going to take off. So after California, Washington is the next largest contributor of new Arizonans, with more than 14,000 people deciding that they prefer to live here. And a lot of this influx is because of our jobs. People can now come here and make a decent living. We have a lot of good jobs available that pay well. Californians are fed up with the housing costs, and taxes are fleeing. They are fleeing the state in big numbers. The rate at which California has been losing people to other states has accelerated. So I tell people all the time, my husband is also a licensed broker in California. He works listings only, and he works from Sacramento south, really. But I can tell you that the last 2 transactions he did last year, the folks were moving. One was moving out of state, could not get, got a moving van immediately confirmed. The other was moving about 6 miles away to a larger property. They could not get a moving van because the large moving vans are being reserved for the long distance trips. They had to go to U-Haul and rent 5 or 6 pickups and do 5 or 6 trips. They would get a contract, and then the day of the move cancel. So this new owner says, okay, we'll give you 2 more days. Same thing happened. They get a call, oh, we can't make it, that van is on its way to Nevada. Almost every time it was going to Nevada. They could have gone after them, but what they needed to do was get moved out of the house. Yeah, it was really a mess.
Wow.
Yeah, data from United Airlines show that some of the most popular moving destinations for Californians were Texas, Arizona, Oregon, Washington, and Colorado. Kind of interesting, right? It is truly a mass exodus coming out of there. Okay, new home hotspots. This is really the map that I wanted to show you. So just in the last 24 months, these are land and lot sales. So the last 2 years, you can see all of the red spots. This is where they bought land for subdivision development. So look at how busy we are all around the perimeter.
303, that's great.
Pretty cool, isn't it? Yeah, and the new 202, because down here, we really weren't going to have that much. Look at right here. That's all where the new 202 is. So this will tell you, so this divides the various sections. Central, Mesa, Gilbert, Queen Creek, North, Northwest, Pinal East, Pinal West, Pinal Northeast, Scottsdale, Southwest, Tippy, Chandler, and the grand totals of the permits that are being issued, and then the close of escrow on the average areas. So you can tell just by looking at the numbers where our growth has been. So it's been mostly down around on the southeast side and Casa Grande, Maricopa areas. But what's coming, well, you'll see on it, I've got another map for you in here. So you can see Southwest, Mesa, Gilbert, Queen Creek, you can see how those have, in November close of escrow and November permits. So they are selling, literally selling more than they're building. That should tell you that in those areas you're probably not going to find a lot of inventory. So where is our inventory? Nationwide Mutual Insurance Company aims to acquire 136 acres of land for its regional headquarters and other development that would support some 5,500 jobs. Desert Ridge Marketplace and Scottsdale Road. This is trust land. A lot of people don't know that that whole subdivision is on leased trust land. The nationwide development is expected to employ 5,500 people, about 1,240 already working in the city with average salaries of $58,000 annually. Pretty good, huh? From Avondale to Youngtown, the West Valley is seeing an economic resurgence. 40% of Metro Phoenix residents live west of the I-10. 40%. 62% of the West Valley's population is workforce age. 20% of the population has a bachelor's degree or higher, and the average annual income ranges from $64,600 to more than $130,000 in some pockets. Is this good news for you? These people can buy nice houses, right? Pretty cool. According to the Maricopa Association of Governments, during the next 25 years, 49.5% of the growth in Maricopa County will occur in the West Valley. Get to know that area. Get to know that area. If you're planning any changes, go west, young man. Go west. So what does the future hold? What's pulling it that way, do you think?
Water.
Water is number one. What's the other thing? Bill Gates, Belmont. He's done huge things for this state as far as technology goes. But if you, I think in a class that I presented here a couple of months ago, Idaho in early 2018 had a 43.5% increase in growth. Some of you might remember that. The reason was because Boise built a tech city, a smart city, just like we're getting. So it increased the population by 43% in the first quarter of its year.
What is the projected population of Belmont?
Pardon me?
What's the projected population of
I think
Belmont?
it's, you know, I don't have those slides with me, but I think it's going to be about 3,400. Is that right? Might be 7,500, might be double that.
But it's intended to be like a model city to copy?
Yes, you'll have self-driving cars, everything's going to be automated, very, very different. I can't wait to get a tour. I can't wait to get a tour. I want to see it.
By somebody driving a car, right?
Pardon me?
By someone driving the car.
Well, I don't know. I hear it's got to be all self-driving. So I might get my first ride with no driver. Growth boundaries will be pushed further out over the mid and long-term forecasts. Transportation will become more vital and in some growth corridors and perhaps become a make or break stumbling block for where people decide to buy. So you can see where I have my arrows for the larger areas. So, you know, some of you I talked to today about Peoria, still very, very strong area, 303 going in. You know, you have access now to I-17. You've got the Loop 101 coming over. They're finishing the 202 down to the south. It's going to be huge. So if you think about how folks are going to come in on that new Highway 11, and Arizona hasn't posted their plan yet on how that highway is going to run, my feeling is it's going to be on the west side. And the reason I say that is because the commercial development in that air park out there, you have companies that have built those huge warehouses, their distribution centers, there's also some manufacturing facilities out there, and they have their international license to ship. So not easy to get, and they've had it now for over 2 years. So they are planning on that highway coming in, on that area coming in off the 303. How many of you have been out there lately? Yeah, you gotta go see it. It's like amazing.
Just went out to Vegas this past weekend, and I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Visually seeing the growth north of Wickenburg and up through that border.
Absolutely amazing, isn't it? Yes, it's like, wow, look what's happening. It's all the old farts, though, that are moving to Prescott. So it's all the young, hard-working people that are moving here. Horse, we call them horse. And I are one, soon, I hope, like maybe 3 years. Okay, future new home communities, 2019. Look at all these red spots. Look, 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 look. This one here, that one kind of surprises me and amazes me. But it's just amazing where these things are going. So you've got a lot of stuff that's coming out. And look in the right in the center between Phoenix and Scottsdale there, just north of the 202, about halfway through. I have no idea where they have land to do that. Just amazes me. So pretty cool stuff. Wow. Did you get your pictures? Okay, available lots and future lots. So 2018 forecast new housing locations based on available lots. These are platted but not started new home communities. Platted but not started. And this was stuff that's in process still at the end of 2018, not completely sold out. So our forecast for 2018 to 2020, new housing hotspots for the Metro Phoenix area. You can just see. You can see where it's going to hit. Pretty cool, isn't it? So I teach down in Maricopa a lot, and I can't believe how it's growing and changing, and people are moving in there in droves. That's where we are competing. They're all the way to Casa Grande with Pinal County, Maricopa County is. Why is that?
It's cheaper.
Land is cheaper, it's more affordable, and it's easier to build. It's just easier to build. Permits are easier to get. Inspections are easier to schedule.
In Pinal?
In Pinal County.
Much easier.
Well, we are just inundated here in Maricopa. You may have to wait 4 or 5 weeks to get an inspector out.
Plus you have access to Tucson.
And that ostrich
And access to Tucson.
So
Get
Yeah.
that cool ostrich
to
farm that
Tucson.
you can be next to.
Pardon me?
Yeah, that ostrich farm or whatever it is that you can be next to.
Yeah, that's right. You go, they still have the Renaissance Festival out there on 60, way up.
That's a percussion, isn't it?
Okay, so our Metro Phoenix permit forecast for 2020, you can see 2018, we actually issued 20,500. 2019, they're anticipating 22,000, and then 2020, 23,000, and they're hoping that 2021 is going to be 25,000. So that's their projections based on the growth. So when we look at these numbers, and what did I tell you we sold? We closed at the end of 2017, 107,000 homes, and they are 23,000. Do you think they want your help? Yes. You sell their product, they will build more for you to sell. And you build those relationships, it's going to be huge. So closing forecast, that was permits, this is closing. They are anticipating 2019, 20,200, and I think they're going to hit everything they build, they will sell. And same for 2021. So here is the resale closing forecast. So here's 2018, let's see, 2017 was 107,000, almost 400. 2018, 105,600. 2019, 108, 2020, 108 for resale, So look at what's being sold now. It's all, the fix and flip has not gone away, right? Even with the increase in prices, that should tell you something. Because they're very cautious about managing their numbers. But they know they're banking on future appreciation, right? That's what's happening. New home market share capture forecast for 2017 to 2021. These are all outlined here, but they are anticipating that instead of 10%, that their sales are going to go up. Now I have to tell you, in 2018, they were selling 10% of the market. Resale contributed another 11% to that for them this year. So why did that happen? Why did suddenly resale agents start selling new home subdivisions? What's the number one reason?
Inventory.
No inventory. We had no ideal inventory. Buyers would look and look and look, wait and wait and wait, not find what they want. Prices are going up, interest rates are going up. We'll go to a new home builder. So we actually, resale agents increased new home sales by 11%. And most of it was since October of last year. Forecast call for home building to steadily climb in the Metro Phoenix area over the next few years. Local housing analyst Jim Belfiore. I don't know if you know him, you can Google him. He was with Arizona Commerce Authority for a long time, so he really knows this valley. He expects to see more than 26,000 new valley houses built by 2020. That's a big number. He's even more aggressive than all the other predictions. Home builders and analysts see a few big obstacles in the way of the Phoenix housing home building recovery. Rising labor, land costs, and construction and material costs. All three will add to the cost of a new valley home. Well, and it will. It's going to add to the cost, so prices are going to go up. Okay, new construction consideration and purchase among for the past 12 months, the home buyers. 38% of the total home buyers today will consider new construction. 11% of the buyers you work are going to purchase. These are all statistics that match exactly what happened in the third quarter of 2018. And they do want new homes. Here's a profile of your buyers. Now I'm going to tell you where you can find this. It's not this pretty, but you go to the National Association of Realtors website and you look up their last survey on buyers and sellers, or they have a Generations Trends report, and it will tell you exactly who is buying what. So you can see 32% are millennials, 30% are baby boomers, and then 29% are Gen Xers. Gen Xers are minimalists. They will accept less house to stick with the budget, and they They have little debt, excellent credit, and money to put down. Very easy to work with. Millennials, you're gonna have to stretch, get the more creative loans. FHA, VA typically, some of the no down are low down loans. Baby boomers, it's a hit or miss. Baby boomers still traditionally have the highest debt in the nation. So I think since the last recession, that's been coming down quite a bit, but you really want to get this group, and I'm in this group, you want to get this group qualified with the lender before you waste your gasoline, okay? Okay, and here's the other, 53% are over 39 years of age, so they really get into the details. The silent generation was the other one I was trying to think of. So today's new construction buyer, 65% are 39 years of age or older. The median is 47. 74% of them are Caucasian or white, 9% are Hispanic, 9% Asian, 6% African American, 2% are other race or ethnicity. These are really good numbers because these numbers here, the Hispanics and the Asian numbers are going up. They have been in the low 2s now for probably the last decade, just not buying. So we've seen huge increases there. So they are more likely to be empty nesters than existing home buyers. 73% live with a spouse or partner. Only 35% have children at home. 50% have a college degree. And 56% have pets. The older millennials are starting to have families and they are starting to have pets. The younger millennials still want to lock and leave. They will be your condo buyer. They're willing to move farther and are more likely to be retired than existing home buyers. 53% will move from a different city. 65% are employed, 20% are retired. None of that is bad. There's just no bad news here when I look at this. Repeat buyers, financially secure. 71% are repeat buyers, 44% annual household income is about $100,000. Pretty darn good. So this 20% down or more, so this compares existing home buyers and new construction home buyers. 42% of existing home buyers have 20% or more down, while 52% for the new homes. And you can just see the correlation between the new home or and the resale. New home is the green, and resale is the 38%. Isn't concerned about qualifying for a mortgage? That's this group here. This is all really good numbers for us. Probably the best we've seen in a decade. Uses money from the sale of home to make a purchase. Yes, that's fine. That tells you they're moving up or moving down. Buys home for higher than initial budget. So if you can look at one buyer and look at, okay, that's 1.5 or 2.5 or maybe 3 transactions total over a period of time.
Last year's, it was the NAR report or whatever, but they said that over 80% were conventional loans. How does that range compared to in the fall of the market? Because as far as I was hearing, you know, those were ARMs and all that stuff going on. Did they make, what was the ratio? Like, were we way less conventional loans back in 2007 and 8? Is that?
Yeah, the banks weren't releasing any money. Now they've released money.
Yeah.
They were very anti-lending during those years. Actually, until about 2012 did they start to free up some of their money. But they were 600% profitable in those declining years that the rest of us were suffering. So, but your point about the conventional, one of the great advantages, what they did was they came out with a competitive conventional to FHA. So, instead of 3.5. And the seller could still contribute. So it made it easier. And no MIP, which means that the buying power went up, right? Make sense? Did I answer your question?
Yeah, and so like ARMs, for example, like, because before they weren't classified as a conventional loan, right? Like a lot of people were using non-conventional loans.
Right.
So 80%, that's like huge, isn't it? Like compared to historically in the past?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's because the qualifying ratios on those government guaranteed loans is a lot different than a standard conventional. You've got that little extra 1.5 or whatever percent that it is that they can have greater debt. In fact, I will tell you the truth. If you talk to a VA lender, I think you've had a VA lender here before, There is no qualifying standard for a debt. If they can make the payment, they don't really look at debt ratios. So if you've got somebody looking for a VA loan, yeah, there's no real how should I say, in concrete qualifying ratio, debt to income ratio, as long as they can make the payment. Yes?
Our family lives in a unincorporated part of another county, but we've noticed that the cities are really becoming very, very aggressive trying to annex.
More land.
More land.
Yeah.
Peoria is being one of the strongest
Yes.
ones. They're just surrounding everybody.
Yeah.
Some of those programs that these cities have, especially to try to get populations to buy, do you know of any of these cities have programs that apply to new builds, where they can go to a new build, or are they mostly for?
I've not heard of any new developments where that's available. It's all, those are designed really to help resurgence in a declining area. Like the Willow District in downtown Phoenix, that's how they did it. If you remember, they offered really low interest loans, like 3%, to firemen, nurses, doctors, lawyers, any of the certain professions to buy and move into those neighborhoods. And they didn't have to make payments for the first, 18 months or whatever. They gave them money to clean up the houses inside and out. So that's the kind of program, it's still out there, but it's questionable neighborhoods. But if you look at the crime rate where it was with Willow and where it is now, vastly different. I mean, it is really a secure neighborhood, even for those homes that border right on McDowell Mountain Road, or even all the way down to Van Buren. So those are the neighborhoods you're going to see more and more of that kind of thing. But Homes Plus is a program that's offered by the state, Arizona Department of Housing. Check it out, because they will have different kinds of qualifying standards and criteria, and they're really good loans. I do a lot of teaching for a nonprofit organization that's in Phoenix, and that's Homes Plus is one of the ones that I talk about a lot for people to get them into a home. Buying home, so for buying home higher than the initial budget, 22% of existing and 30% for new home. So it's not impossible to get these done. All right, let's see, where am I? Okay, we're doing good. So how do you reach them? How do you find these people? So builders spend an awful lot of money on direct mail, and you can see direct mail right here at 19%, print ad 30%. I'm telling you this because these are the kinds of things I want you to start marketing to and with. Find tools that will help you connect with these people. Friend, relative, neighbor, or colleague, that's 40%. So start working your referral base, right? Make sure that your family remembers you're in the business, and even though you drive that new car, you still have to make a commission. Now, I actually had my sister tell me, well, you just bought that brand new car, so we figured you didn't need anybody. Ma'am, I haven't really sent anybody to you. Thanks a lot, sis. Yeah, you gotta remind them. You gotta remind them. For sale or open house signs, still a big deal. I live in North Scottsdale. I can't tell, every day there are signs everywhere. Open house has become a big deal again. Why? Because people are out there looking. Yes, they are driving neighborhoods. Yes. Home builder, sales center. Okay, that's a big one. People love to go into the sales centers. So send them information ahead of time. And then their online resources, 76%. Good numbers for you to have. Home types being considered. Purchased home in the past 12 months, existing or new construction. New construction was 78%. FSBOs, the FSBO sales were 43%. Lot, land, 17 for new home. Foreclosure home, 25 versus 10. 18% short sale homes. Auction houses, none. I did not consider buying any of these types of properties. And this information, all of these slides are on NAR. They don't look this pretty. I made these for you. But the information is there. Reasons for purchasing new construction. Purchased home in the past 12 months. Everything in the home is new, never used, 49%. The home was the best value for the money, 37%. Appealing home features, 34%. Desirable location, 34%. No one else had lived in it before, 27%. Ability to customize features, 23%. Select floor plan, 21%. Warranties, and it continues to go down from there on what the benefits are. So when you're selling a new home, you have to look at the energy features, you have to look at the fact that it's new, no one's lived in it, they get to choose their colors, they get to choose their surfaces, they get to choose their floor plan, they even get to choose where it's sitting unless it's already built. Among several home types, they consider 38% of total buyers add new construction to their list. This has really come up a lot because most people, most of our previous buying generations did not want to deal with new. This is an advantage for you if you start to add new to your inventory or your offerings. 2/3, 65% of new construction buyers are 39 years of age and older. Nearly 3 in 4, almost 75%, our new construction buyers are repeat buyers. So we're just continually feeding the cycle, our real estate cycle that we rely on. Housing Trends Report as of December 18th, 2018, 46% of new construction buyers view a mobile website using a smartphone or a tablet. During the search, new construction buyers most want to take a private tour. More than 3 in 4 consider it very or extremely important. New construction buyers are more likely to consider air conditioning as very or extremely important, 85% versus 74%. And I will tell you, your new home sales agents are really pushing the fact that they are installing the new air conditioning units, and we have tons, hundreds of thousands of them out there that are going to be going obsolete, right? Yes. Make sure your folks have a home warranty plan that's going to cover that. Most about 81% of new construction buyers say that a floor plan or layout fits their preferences is very or extremely important. And I have to say that I show a lot of homes, and buyers are always trying to figure out how their family and their activities are going to fit into a home. Even if they no longer have a family. Where will I put this? Where will I be able to do this? So all the things that they're involved in now, they really take deep consideration into. Half of new construction buyers, 49%, say that their top reason for purchasing is because everything in the home is new, never used. Active adult communities, if you don't work these areas, you need to start. Why? Why is this a big growth area for us? Pardon me?
Because of the age group that's coming in.
We are an aging community. We are an aging state, and we have 10,000 boomers per day retiring in this country still. It's going to be 2 or 3 years before I get to say, no longer say that. I probably won't be teaching by then. I hope I'm retired. But seriously, they are buying in active adult communities. Get to know these communities. They will work with you. They will work with you. Market growth. Okay, I love this chart. So, 75% is the blue, or 75 plus. This is 55 plus population. 75 plus is the blue. 70 to 74 is this purple. 65 to 69 is the green. 60 to 64 is this one, and 55 to 59 is this. So just take a look from 1900 to where they are planning on us being in 2055, where we will be. Some of you in this room, I might not even be here by then. I hope. My husband would argue with me that we aren't going to be here. But some of you, as young as you are, you might be in those numbers. It's 2055. Yeah, this guy right here. Yeah. So you can see our population growth. It's pretty amazing to me. Aging nation. We are definitely an aging nation. Not so much to tell you about that, because you already know it. 55 plus home buyers, they're armed with mobile phones, iPads, social media, and they know how to use them. Yeah, there's a big assumption out there that this age group doesn't know much about technology. Not true. They're very, very informed. Active adult housing, close of escrow as of April of 2018, 137 communities. Millennials, I got to share with you a little bit about millennials. So millennials make up 1/3 of the new construction home buyers. So millennials aged, and they're gonna break this up. I've said for years, the millennials, this is gonna be divided. So 36% of these buyers are not the young people, the 25 below. It's the well above 25, and actually most in the 30s that are buying these new construction homes. Why is that? Where's the younger ones living?
Mom and dad.
They're still at home. It's still happening. Boomers, 28%, Generation X, 30%. And then the breakdown for the races. Millennials and Gen X buyers are driving the market, 71%. This is a really good thing. A recent study from Zillow found that 21% of millennials in the Phoenix area are still living at home. What did I tell you? And I don't know how to pronounce this woman's name, but on a KTAR interview, she reported that high rent prices in the area are causing young adults to move back in with their parents. And some of them never left. I know this because I had one. Just recently got his exit package. And he's now gone, and mad. He's very mad. But like my husband said, you'll get over it. Yeah, we're gonna give him a couple of years.
But I can't figure out from a lot of these people that are young adults, paying, rents, that try to convince them that their rents are more than the actual purchase of a home.
Yes, yes, and that's gonna be even more evident here before too long. We had a huge jump in rent prices in the last quarter of last year, and it's gonna hit us again the first quarter of this year, I guarantee you. Because we have a housing shortage right now. We really do have a housing shortage. Sorry, I didn't see you.
What I noticed in terms of, I have seen houses that they have a guest house and they're rented for extra income. And I have seen a few houses like that.
Yeah. And in some subdivisions, you can do that. Make sure you check the CCNRs.
Sometimes they're not guest houses, it's like an apartment.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I've sold some of those. They're 2-bedroom, 1-bath, large kitchen, living room.
Where the kids stay.
Yeah, it's where the kids, yeah.
Well, it sounds like.
Could be where the kids stay. Yeah, yeah, put the parents out there. I'd live out there. I'd live out there. Okay, millennials aren't buying homes because of student loan debt, according to the National Association of Realtors. That's why millennials are renting about 6 years longer than their parents, but the oldest millennials are in their early 30s now. I'm working with some millennials, and I will tell you, they are very, very scared about buying a house. And it's not because of school debt. It's not for any of those reasons. What do you think is their biggest reason for fearing to buy a house? They've seen the market go up and down. Their parents, some of them, their parents have experienced loss of a home, foreclosure, short sale, economic impact on their parents and other members of their family, and it terrifies them. Every time I show this couple a home, the first thing they say to me is, well, our value's going to go up in this area? Okay, well, let's take a look at historical values, because can I promise that? No. I can't guarantee it, but they want me to. They want me to. So I have went to a Hallmark card shop and I bought a globe, a crystal ball. And I have it in my car. And when I show them, I bring out my crystal ball. I shake it up because it's a snowball. Tell me what you see. Tell me what you see.
I try to explain them that you can have to pay rent anyways.
Yeah.
So just look at that you're paying rent.
Yes.
That's it.
Just say, suck it up, buttercup.
I'm going to borrow that one from you. I'm going to go borrow that one from you. The other thing about the millennial buyer right now, they are looking for about 3 or 4 months before they make a decision to buy. Are any of you working with buyers right now?
They're looking online too.
And they are looking online.
They're educated.
And they are going to go to subdivisions without you. Yeah, they are.
But you know, one thing I like about that is that they look online and they already know which houses they want.
That's exactly right.
Educate themselves.
And they know what areas they want. They've already driven out, they saved you the gas.
Yeah.
Well, a question after hearing the presentation. You have these people that go out to the new subdivisions, okay? They're not your buyer, but then somehow they come back around and after they've gone through 4 or 5 subdivisions, and they say, hey, Tommy, we decided we're gonna buy a house. Oh, good, great. Okay, we're gonna go to Meritage, Tommy, West Valley. oh, yeah, but we have been here before. So what do I do? I'm going like, wait a minute. See, they just decided to get an agent, but they've already visited 4 or 5.
You hope they didn't register.
Well, no, they force them to register from on the
They,
street.
they do.
Yeah, they come in, they say, okay, you gotta sign here. They don't know that they're actually registering.
So I make a phone call and I tell them, I'm working with this buyer. I think the best thing for them is some homes that they saw in your subdivision. I want to know if you're going to honor an agreement. And I will tell you right now, they will probably say yes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, no.
I've
I think
experienced
that
that
I
in
would call and ask.
Northwest Valley, because there's so many communities around there to say, hey, they're looking at multiple communities, they're gonna want their business.
Yes.
Some of them are very stickler, but some of them
Well,
won't.
some
Are
of-
you
yeah,
gonna
stuff
work
them
with me,
that
or
aren't
do I
even
have
nice.
to take them somewhere
Are you
else?
going to work with me or should I focus on something else? That's exactly right. And I guarantee you right now, they will tell you, sure, we're going to honor it, bring them in.
Well, maybe you can give me another tip. I've got
Let me take care of this guy first and then I'll come back to you.
That's kind of my question. So if the buyers went to a brand new subdivision, they didn't register, then you can still represent them and get the commission.
Yes. Yeah.
Just as long as they didn't register.
Make sure you, yeah. Well,
Yeah, new sales
unless
agents
they're
are
not
very good.
recognized, because I had Pulte one time. I had a great client, 600,000. I told her not to go to the subdivision without me, but she never listens to anything I tell her anyway. And she shows up there and she walks in, she says, hey, I'm working with Marty. Yeah, okay, that's fine, that's good. They took her through everything, they talked to her. She calls me that night, let's write this up on this model. So I did that and I take the offer in and they said, you know, that's great, but she was here last week. We recognize her, she registered, we're not gonna honor your commission, you can represent her. So I told her, now this is where friendship really counts. And she said, well, I can't say what she said. She did not buy the house. She canceled the contract.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a
But
good friend.
it is a good friend. But even, I mean, I went back 6 or 8 months later and they still, nope, she came in, she's ours. Okay, you're not gonna sell that house because she's not gonna buy it without me. And she never did. I mean, they sold out. It was at Eagle's Nest. Will more millennials buy Phoenix area homes? It's what new home market needs to recover. It's what new home market needs in order to recover. Millennials have so far been slow as a generation to take on a mortgage on a new house. They're also facing some unique obstacles. Great Recession, which they mentioned. Almost 80 million millennials are dealing with the record amount of student loan debt. And honestly, they were told, I'm going to tell you right now, they were told by the federal government that a lot of this was going to be forgiven, and it is not.
Oh.
And it's no longer at their really special 2.8% interest rate. They are charging them, once they are in arrears, that interest rate is going very high. New home sales have gone straight up over the past 2 years with 18,000 in the Metro Phoenix area in 2017. Housing analyst Jim Delfori recently told a crowd of more than 1,000 people tied to the real estate industry at his annual marketing update. He predicted that the number will continue to climb. I agree with him. It's going to continue to climb. So here's a couple of more stats. This is the Las Vegas versus Phoenix area. April is the purple, and 2017 and 2018. So you can just see single family rent index year over year, percent of change, and they had the top 20 markets here. So you can see how much it's gone up from 2017. Look at Houston. Now remember they had that big hurricane, so that affected them. But if you look at the orange, 2018, let's see, where's Phoenix? Yeah, we're way up. Las Vegas, Phoenix, Orlando, Tucson, yeah, pretty much all of Arizona that shows up there has gone up. And we're going to continue. Millennials rank homeownership above all else. Actually, what's really, really cool about this is the millennials do now value homeownership. I think they've paid rent long enough that they've decided it's better to be buying something that belongs to you. Also, same with, we have a huge passionate group in our Hispanic community. Definitely promote home ownership. That's a big thing for them to own a house, a home, to raise their families. but millennials are still your stronger percentage of buyers. Got that? Okay, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, as of 2017, nearly 1 in 5 men ages 25 to 34 lived in their parents' home. This is my son that just got kicked out. I'm not kidding you. And he would complain every time he had to pay his rent. And he expects me to do his laundry. Yeah.
Suck it up, Buttercup.
Cook his meals.
He's gone. He is out. He probably won't talk to me for 6 years. I don't know. But he's having to do his own laundry. He's talking to his dad, though. His dad was the negotiator. So that's good. At least we can keep in touch with him. But that is a significantly higher share, 12.5%.
Why do guys stay at home more? That's silly.
They don't want to work.
Because mom does everything for him. Yeah.
It's free.
Yeah.
Believe.
Yeah, it took me a while to brighten up. Both numbers have increased dramatically in recent decades, roughly doubling since 1960. So these are huge. So what are some challenges? Increased labor costs, material costs, construction workers, young people not wanting to get into the construction industry, rising land costs, rising interest costs. This is a huge factor. Young people are looking at tech jobs. That's the sophistication. Like when I was in high school, the job for women was to become an airline stewardess. That was the glamorous job. Or an executive secretary, yes. Now, for young people, it's really all about technology and getting to San Francisco, to Silicon Valley. Here's how the labor shortage is impacting housing, scarcity, higher costs of workers. The NAHB data indicates longer build times, more delays, higher costs for workers and subcontractors. This is very, very true. And builders have also gotten very savvy about how they rotate their team. So they keep a real tight group of crews and they rotate them based on their growth projections. Which means once we have 4 contracts in this block, then we'll move our crew over here. Otherwise, they're going to stay right here. So they manage them a lot differently than they used to. Materials, prices, and shortages have forced builders to adjust their construction planning, and their retail pricing very probably has had a significant impact on suppliers who have been forced to anticipate costs. So they automatically build in a percentage of cost in every price that is offered. So by the time you get there, there's a good percentage of markup already written in to the construction of that home.
Materials, they change so fast.
They do. And a lot of the stuff comes from other parts of the country, for our world, for us. Even our labor. I don't know if you know this, but China has labor contracts in Oregon. So we fell the trees. They contract U.S. workers to fell the trees. They are transported out into the Pacific Ocean, where they are run through a lumber mill on a ship and then sent back into the U.S. and sold.
You wonder how that could be cost productive.
I know, but they bought the land, or they bought the lease on the land, so they have the lumber rights on that land. So they are processing it. Share of workers in the sector who are 24 years or older or 24 years old or younger has declined in 48 states. Nationally, the share of young construction workers declined nearly 30% from 2005 through 2016. Some note that many high schools have cut vocational training programs during the recession and are now only bringing them back. Others point to parents' desire for their children to get a college degree, a lure of technology jobs, and the high cost of living in areas where jobs are most plentiful. And frankly, that is the job that's moving into Arizona. Yeah, it's going to impact the housing market, but it's the high-tech job that's bringing them here. Land for most uses in Phoenix saw decreases in sales price per square foot in the first half of 2018, with one notable exception. Residential use land purchases saw an increase in price per square foot. Median price for land sales for residential was $3.71 per square foot, up from $3.48 last year. Significant difference. Home buyers remain mostly unfazed, 5% mortgage rates. I gotta do a presentation at Scottsdale Community College. Okay, let's see how many more of these. Unfazed by 5% mortgage rates. I think I'm just about done. The new home market is doing very well with the tight supply of used homes in the market. Great time to educate yourself on the benefits of incorporating new homes. Where do you think we are? Yeah.
Enthusiasm.
Yeah, I'm enthusiastic, I can tell you. I get excited about this every time I put this stuff together. Okay, I'd love to hang around and visit. I can't. I do have to be at Scottsdale Community College.
Great presentation.
Thank you.